Welcome out, ladies and gentlemen, to another RGL.gg Invite Highlander match. We are approaching the end of playoffs here in Invite, as Man Crush Monday is going to take on Froggie tonight in the lower bracket finals. My name's Godfather, joined by Jarrett on the mic, Dolphins behind the scenes. Jarrett, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm happy to be here. It's always nice to see some playoff action between two teams down to the wire. You're one match away from reaching grand finals, and for so many players on both these teams, it's definitely something that you definitely want to achieve for either a first time or repeating time. So it really all comes down to this to make sure you get your one last shot to take the championship. And if you miss the mark, you're tumbling down to third place, which it's not bad in the grand scheme of things. But I'm sure at this point both these teams are hungry for way more than that. So really curious to see what's going to happen on this triple stopwatch setup that we have going for the maps here tonight between these two teams.
Yeah, as you said, triple stopwatch, avoiding all of the Koth maps in the pool, an interesting choice between these two teams. And these teams have actually met on two of the maps we'll be seeing tonight. So do you want to take a look at the previous matchups between MCM and Froggyland?
Yeah, I think the Swiftwater was in the quarterfinals a couple weeks ago and already in the playoffs race, and Upward was during the regular season. Both these teams played, albeit I think it was slightly different rosters, but nonetheless, I think MCM came out on top 2-1 in both of those maps. While Steel, they didn't really play each other on, although I think MCM had a little bit of an upset loss, lost against a team I don't think people originally thought they were going to. But I mean, Steel's an upset map, so I guess if that was going to happen to any map, it makes sense. But MCM looking a little bit shaky, but that will be the third pick, the tiebreaker, if it comes to it. Who knows? We might not even need it at all. But when we talk about the previous maps, I think it's important to talk about the rosters, and definitely in detail for what's happening tonight. As I mentioned before, the rosters, you change a little bit over this season going into playoffs. So you might see some faces you haven't seen throughout the season showing up to represent their respective teams tonight. So probably important to go over the rosters for tonight so you can know where to put your precious channel points on to get the best odds you possibly can. I'll go ahead and start with the Man Crush Monday roster. It is Sandblast and Soapy on Scout and Soldier, Supreme Toad aka Marty on Pyro, Exile on Demo, Eerie on Heavy, Aaron and Rogue on NG and Medic, and Watersina and BM on Sniper and Spy.
And then for the side of Froggyland, bringing in a couple of ringers for tonight's match, we have Yum Yum on Scout, Doombringer coming in on Soldier, TK's the Pyro, Townsy on Demo, Moist Master is on Heavy, Flu Walrus is the Engineer, Virgil coming in as a ringer for Medic, the Sar is on Sniper, and Shido, I always mess this up, on Spy.
I'm pretty sure it's Shido.
It's Shido. We're going to go with Shido, and then X is going to yell at me in chat anyway. I'm so sorry. But, as earlier mentioned, get those bets in now, because predictions are about to close, and it is definitely a one to wager some points on. Should be a good matchup here, and yeah, we'll be getting into it shortly.
Yeah, a lot of talent on both these rosters, as I always say. There's a little bit of mix here. You look at the MCM roster, there's a lot of there's a lot of back and forth when I think you like the past couple years of some of these players. You've seen them just barely missed the mark in playoffs, and that's about it. And then the MCM team has had some titles taken a couple of these seasons, so really curious to see how they're going to end up falling this time around in this season. Where the side of Froggie, they have some familiar faces and some new blood as well in terms of showing up to playoffs on a consistent basis, but I don't think there's very many of the players that have really gotten as close as they have now, one match away from getting grands to win it all. It's definitely a spot that you're going to cherish to be in, and I'm sure they're going to give it all to make sure that this is one for the history books when it comes to the team of Froggyland. So really curious to see what's going to happen today on Swiftwater, being the first map. Going to be a triple stopwatch setup like I said before, but Swiftwater is going to be the map that I think MCM was the one that went ahead and picked it. So we're not going into the territory of teams like picking maps that they have lost at, making a statement that they're going to learn for their mistakes. And we're starting off with keeping it simple. You won the last time you showed up on this match versus the opposing team, so just pick it again, and that's what MCM is saying this time around with this pick. Probably a little bit favored, but who knows, maybe Froggyland has some tricks up their sleeve. Maybe they've learned something and are making some adjustments. Only time will tell, but I'm really curious to see who is going to take it at the end of the day.
Someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last time we saw these two teams on this map was a very intense matchup, where we just had very fast times all around. Some some rather drawn out times. I think it was like a fast time, a really slow time, and a very fast time. Um, if I'm not mistaken, someone in chat can certainly tell me if I'm wrong about that. But Swiftwater has not been a disappointing map to watch Highlander on this season, is what I can take away from that. So I'm hoping this will be a good one, as we're waiting for MCM to get all 9 here. Froggyland has their whole roster on the server ready to go. Uh, who are you going to be looking at? I ask this all the time. Who are you going to be looking at to make a big difference, especially considering the ringers coming in for Froggyland?
Well, last time we saw Swiftwater between these two teams, it was pretty much the sniper and demo show. Like there was a lot of participation and some decent plays made, all around. But at the end of the day, though, those are the big damage dealers that made things as fast and as one-sided in certain moments as the match was a couple weeks ago. So I'm kind of looking at those players once again, sniper and demo, to try to see if they can have a repeat performance, as well as some of the classes that might provide like a direct counter to them, to see if you can try to shut down the strengths of the enemy team. So the first thing I want to kind of look at, I guess briefly, is I'm curious to see how teams are going to try to counter, making it maybe less sniper and demo centric. If that is going to be the strategy they're going for, you can just try to send everything towards the enemy team's strongest classes and just eliminate them from play. Maybe have your spy go for the sniper a little bit more. Maybe have the scout find a couple key moments where he's not on cart pushing duty, where you can just run at the demo and kill him. Things of that nature. But I think the big thing is Giraffe was playing in the last match for Froggyland, I'm pretty sure. Townsy wasn't there. So that's a big deal when you consider the experience of Giraffe, but also he wasn't necessarily, the front-running demo man for the side of Froggyland. So it's a little bit of a give and take. It's like what was a part of their successes and what was a part of their failures. Giraffe, brought a lot of experience to this team, but he wasn't their main player. So what do you favor more, or rather, not even what you favor more as their team, but what is going to lead you with the most results, and how is their play going to change with a little bit of a potential playstyle change? And that's not just for them too, but it's for MCM, because you might, go into this match thinking like, all right, these players have certain tendencies, we're going to play it a certain way, but then all of a sudden the main calling structure changes, and you might have a different beast in front of you you're trying to deal with here when you're MCM trying to set up any form of counter strat whatsoever. So Froggyland, while they have some adjusting to do when it comes to learning for their mistakes, because who knows if some of the mistakes can even apply, there's also not really a surprise factor for MCM or for MCM anymore in comparison to Froggyland. So it's a really interesting dynamic to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to see how shot calling is going to make a difference. You mentioned the demo being different between these two games. I imagine Townsy's main calling for the side of Froggyland. So, missing the main caller last week, and now he's coming back into it. See how he's able to do with that. But now we have everybody here on the server. We can start thinking about what we expect in terms of scores. I'm thinking, like we've seen before on this map, MCM maybe getting a 2-1 on this, but Chance Froggyland makes it close. What do you think?
Uh, I kind of feel like I think it's probably going to be close, but not as close is my prediction. I'm going to say like the same scoreline of a 2-1, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a nail biter. I feel like it's going to be teams coming out with like clear, consistent rounds, but yet using the half times to adjust accordingly. And I'll give it to MCM once again, but it really could go either way, honestly.
For sure. And while we still have a bit of downtime, people are trying to pick up a golden pan and whack each other with it on the server right now. But take a moment here and shout out anyone who's been supporting the stream and the channel, giving those subscriptions, subscribing with Prime and whatnot. That all is now going directly to help support the casters and the production. That's not going to prize pools, that's going to us. So we really appreciate it and thankful for all the support. You guys watching is plenty, but appreciate the extra stuff you guys are doing. Once again, thought I'd give a little shout out there to all the people who have subscribed, and also all the other things too. You can go support us on YouTube. There's a Patreon. There's so many ways to follow along with RGL and support us here. So
The YouTube's free
definitely,
too.
yeah, that's true. YouTube's free, and there's a new series going up. We're making invite players do wacky things. We had them fighting in moon gravity the other day. That was the craziest thing I've ever casted. So definitely go check out that video on the YouTube channel, !YouTube. But a pretty voice in my ear is telling me we are going to get started fairly soon. So, any last thoughts about this matchup?
I think it's gonna come down to, for Swiftwater in particular, it's going to come down for the offense if you're able to break second, I think is the big thing. Because sometimes you see fantastic teams that have like at least somewhat like manageable Swiftwater play, but if you just like can't push second versus the most basic setup, you're gonna be in for a rough time, and maybe not even an unpushable like place for you to be in, but just so much time eaten off the clock that it'll basically kill your entire run. So my eyes are definitely are peeled for both teams on offense to really perform. I guess MCM is going to be, put up kind of first as they are currently on blue. So that's what I'm really going to be looking at here for the most part. There's some other moments. There's, teams don't necessarily practice on third as much, so it can be kind of messy, like trying to push a point you're not necessarily practicing. Last is always a big beast to, try to tackle no matter what payload map you are indeed playing, but we are going live. Don't have to wait any longer to see what these two teams are going to go ahead and go with. Unfortunately for Swiftwater, usually the first points are somewhat throwaways, so there's not too much strategy to be seen here in terms of what we might be up against for the first 30 seconds or so, but it might give you a little bit of a sneak peek on maybe some little bit of precious time burned off the clock. We've seen plenty of Swiftwater matches where a team wins with 10 seconds left. That 10 seconds could have been earned right here, so every second counts, and I'm sure they're going to try to milk it for as long as possible.
Oh, absolutely. We saw Virgil coming out with the Kritzkrieg to lay down some sticky traps, and those are primarily on the roof here, denying any early soldier bombs. And I was checking, seeing if we were going to have any soldier banners, sometimes used in Highlander, especially on payload maps. Doombringer not opting to go for any banners yet, something we did see in the last meeting between these two teams. And now with the gates about to open, we're going to get underway here in this lower bracket final for Invite Season 9. MCM taking on Froggie here in a best of 3 series. Jumping over the roof early are going to be those two explosive classes. Not finding too much. Actually going to pick up the SAR there. So no defensive sniper, now no defensive pyro or soldier. A great initial sack wave. That's going to send Froggie running very early on.
I'm sure you're happy as a blue team. You're going to trade only like 1 or 2 classes for like 5 or so immediately. The red team has no chance of Waterston's just on the chase, able to take down Moist 2. So Moist is going to have a little bit of a slow respawn. You have actually, the red team is still kind of aggressive here, and they're losing some players. The SAR drops as well. That just means they lose their spot. This is a little bit disjointed now. They've overstayed their welcome inside cave and not been able to get out and put themselves up on their own too. So now they're down a couple classes, including the last class. Well, maybe not the last class, but one of the class you definitely don't want to die on your exit, your engineer. There is no gun setup whatsoever. The blue team have a lot of room to work with, and they're going to Uber right off the bat to try to make space of this.
Yeah, they're coming right down main here. There's nothing to stop them. BM's looking for a stab on some demo right now as blue demo jumps up and the Uber's actually popped out. BM still has not been found yet. Shido goes down and a little bit of a scuffle in the tunnel leads to Yum Yum picking up Rogue, the medic down for the blue team here. Virgil's still alive and in good position, surrounded by the team, and BM will go down. So that is a successful hold on second, and look at this gun from Blue Walrus. So aggressive here. I'm sure that'll be put away somewhere else soon. Gotta be careful of Soapymeister in a position to maybe spam that out in a moment. But so many people dying from MCM in that push. Froggyland's gonna hold on to it a little longer, but now, Jared, look at this push through the connecting tunnel.
It's spotted. They just spotted it, and they're in a pretty good position. It is dry, though, so it is very, very committal. I think they have their pyro opening the door in case they change their mind, but they are fully behind on the opposing teams, too. So this could be a little bit of a war of attrition here, at least to let their flank behind. I think the red team is making a good use of this, though. They recognize that the other end of the tunnel is just completely free, and they've collected a couple kills of themselves, although they have lost Townsy, so it's a little bit rough for them to use a super ad if they decide to go that route.
Virgil's in a bit of trouble as the flank is behind for the blue team. They'll find TK, so even less protection now for the combo, and Exile is in the spot. Oh, the Uber's going to come out early for red team. Maybe pick up Rogue. Rogue is gone, but that's a bottle kill onto Moist from Exile. He'll die afterwards. But only 4 alive right now for the defending Froggyland, so as even though they picked up Rogue there, and at the end of the day, this is not looking good in the long run.
Yeah, they did that without Townsy as well. That was pretty much a scout zone, and they were able to find success there. Marty, Supreme Toad actually running in to see if they can get any kills whatsoever. Oh, just barely unable to collect that frag. The Sandblast behind.
Virgil in trouble.
Virgil got healed up, but unable to collect the frag. So, I mean, it's a bit of a scrappy fight, but so far this distraction has caused enough space to be made for the side of MCM. They've pretty much taken the second point. So it took a couple tries, but it's there. Shido going for a stab on Rogue, but doesn't hit the mark. Exile able to clean up that kill. So Uberad for the side of Virgil at the very least. It's pretty small, but at least that means they're not going to be retreating into their own spawn from a Rogue Uber incoming. That's actually, despite losing 2, they did a pretty good job at salvaging what was happening in the cave much earlier. But now ball once again in the side of MCM's court to try to figure out how they want to break the third hold of Froggie, which I talked about so much before. It's not necessarily often you see an honest attempt at a third hold happen, so the fact that we're seeing it here could really put MCM to the test.
Yeah, I'm going for a stab. Oh, he's going to find the stab onto the engineer and get the gun now as well. Still lurking below as well. That was a very isolated engineer. Here's the Pyro Uber coming in from the blue team, not popping back quite yet on red. I actually don't see the red combo right now. Now popping as Virgil got a little beak up top, staying in heaven there, and then just got air blasted away by the Pyro, kind of just floating around in the air. The SAR goes down to Eerie, and good point presence right now. The engineer looking like he's going to cap this one out as only 3 survive from Froggie Land. Getting out now, trying to set up on the second to last point here. Might be advisable to be careful here. You have a Soapymeister above you.
Yeah, that third point was pretty clean. I think they dropped a lot of people on the side of Froggie Land. It just made them have no one available for the post here. So MCM once again just taking all the room they could possibly get. And so far, the fourth attempt is attempting to be made by the side of Froggie, and they're trying to bust out this side door, but MCM is meeting them to try to stop them for as long as possible so they can get some cart time of their own. They're losing a couple players, though. Waterson has fallen, but they've gotten Townsy, so it's a little bit of a you know, something you can work with. Uber does come eventually out, though, trying to chase away this Pyro, who's just air blasting them back. Will eventually bump into BM, try to take him out with the last life with the Spy Flash. Got people above you, though, on top through Scout and Heavy combo. Not a place you would initially expect them to be, but here they are, but with the cart. All the while, despite all this, the cart still gets in from all the distractions that the combo made.
That was a great play there. The Scout distracting the medic. Easy stab for Shido. Road goes down. But a lot of inconsistencies here for the Froggie Land defense. They kind of backed themselves into that corner by that point and really could not make an effective defense. That was dead with 99%.
Yeah. What?
Oh no.
Oh, she got stuck in the spawn gate.
Oh, yeah.
And
to see it.
And killbound to get out at 99%. What? All right. Well,
yeah.
Either way, that's a medic dead. Regardless. Right now, that's a medic dead. So, despite the stab that Shido got on Rogue, MCM still in a favorable position with the Uber advantage. Doesn't look like they're trying to dry quite yet. They're definitely waiting for the cart at the bare minimum. And who knows, if they build this Uber up, you know, fast enough, they might just say, screw it, let's just go off the ad that we have. Marty will die to, you know, Supreme Toad dying to a sniper. It seems like they're working their way over in lobby. They want to try to use their ad this way instead of going through low, which a lot of teams like to do, to see if they can break into the Froggie Lane last.
Moist opting to play at the top of this staircase or ramp, whatever you want to call it, instead of the traditional light there on the opposite side of the pit. Here comes Rogue popping the Uber in, going forward. Waterson died to no offensive sniper, but BM's going to likely be able to cap this one out as there's nobody there near the cap. Everyone is kind of distracted here, and that's going to be a very, very easy cap for MCM to push into last there. It's 5 points in 6-13. Not what you want to see in a playoff match out of Froggie Land.
Yeah, they were in a pretty rough spot at the end there. It's always troubling if you feel like you need to run away from an Uber, but you can't run away from the cart. And they pretty much had to play flawlessly with pre-planning how MCM was going to push in, but they just had no eyes. It came at them very surprisingly, and they were just unable to run away, yet still defend the cart. So all this chaos, it's really interesting to see. MCM isn't necessarily playing super clean right now, but the fact that they're not is causing enough chaos that Froggie Land a lot of the times doesn't seem like they know exactly what's going on. And with so many variables in Highlander, you want to know as much as possible to make sure things go in your way. And so far, that's not the case for them. MCM are definitely in a good spot right now. 6-13 is a very, very impressive time for this map.
Yeah, it's definitely a respectable opening push there from MCM, and now they have an opportunity to really have a clinical defense here. We're seeing Waterson. I think it was Zach last week who just called this a Waterson play, as look at his positioning, watching that cart early on, very aggressive. We do have that backup coming out of Soapymeister, opting for the banner play here as the gates open. And there's the sniper pick from Waterson. Sar goes down immediately, and there you go, it's worth it.
Yep, every little second counts. One less person to get on the card can mean a whole lot for your team, especially that's, you know, as Froggyland, you don't want to have so many seconds shaved off. But Sandblast just is it. Okay, Sandblast just went in super deep, tried to go for a play, will not really find anything. Waterson almost dying, dropped her HP twice. Sophie escaping. Oh, never mind. Cast's Curse died to Stickies at the last second. So, I mean, honestly, that's as much as you can really expect from a first hold. It's really difficult to do anything if you're just going to give it up for the most part strategically. But who knows, maybe the couple seconds was enough to really seal the deal. We'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, pretty standard from the side of Froggyland. It looks like they're going to go ahead and go upward and see if they can cycle the Ubers out of the equation and go from there.
Big difference between the first hold from either or these two teams is Gun is up and ready.
Oh, it's a solo pyro
right now.
Oh,
no,
there's no
really?
damage. There's no damage. You need a scout or a demo or something with that pyro. There's no damage to actually make Rogue feel like he needs to use it on the person he's healing, so Rogue just has full ad. Froggyland have practically wasted their Uber, and the cart time, it was in the cave the entire time. There was no, it wasn't really a super special part, so a little bit of a misplay in terms of the timing. It seems like Froggyland have a lot to really take in here if they want to come away with this. There's not much time on the clock when you think of the grand scheme of how long Swiftwater is, and we're barely even crafting to the second point.
Yeah, this is not looking good for them so far. They're going to set up here now with a full combo, trying to push through, and it's going to be a dry push. Playing pretty aggressively, but Townsy immediately dies, and now TK feeds as well. Moistmaster has no chance of staying alive, but Virtual thankfully will keep that 81% Uber. And I'm just seeing Waterson standing. He's taking all sorts of different angles and finding frags with it. He does now go down to Shido on Spy, who narrowly escapes with his life. But the cart still not fully out of this tunnel yet, and it'll be an opportunity for, now with even Ubers, Froggyland to try to do something different. They're just going to go right through and bust on in here.
Yeah, don't have a whole lot of time in their hands. Post-Uber will eventually come out. Red team's actually chasing in very deep. MCM poking these corners so they get anyone. They do eventually get Virgil and Basar and Townsy. So many kills are being cleaned up by them, and they're only losing 2. I mean, I guess Exile and Sandblast are pretty big picks for a team, but trading that for a team wipe with so little time on the clock, definitely a very good play coming from them, making sure they recognize the better position they were in to chase down all those hills. I think there was a pinch from the other side of the tunnel as well, which made things very precarious for the side of Froggyland. So with 3.5 minutes left, they definitely have to play, like, honestly, pretty much perfectly from this point forward. You can really not afford to have any more mistakes on the board.
I don't know if Dolphin caught it. I think I did tap over and see he did catch PM, just dying in the most unfortunate of ways there, right in front of the demo. We have the banner coming out. That's backup in play for MCM as they play fairly aggressively here. No fear with that damage mitigation. Shido down to the gun. Not too big, but Moist and Walrus both dying. Waterson's on a 4K, and Sophomeister's found 3 so far in his life. This defense proving very formidable here with under 3 to play in half number 1.
We're going to get to the point where we're starting the amount of pushes that Froggyland has left before we're officially entering dead time. And Sandblast kills 2, including Virgil, and Moist gets stabbed. They're just in the enemy team.
Dies.
Yeah, they just went so deep for that. I think they recognize, MCM recognized that they can play very recklessly and still come away with this match at this point. They could lose 2 right now and technically still be in a decent spot. So they're playing a little bit ballsy. Yeah, they're playing a little bit ballsy. I don't think it's gonna bite them. I think we are like, it's been a bit.
Blast. Oh my god.
Oh, he just barely stopped it.
Yeah, 12 health hero there, goes and kills 2. I mean, they're going to cap it anyway, but it really doesn't matter with 2 to play here. It's just going to be absolute chaos on cart. But both meds dying in that last fight means Ubers are fairly close. It's a bit of an ad for Virgil. Moist finding 2 there on pretty big classes to take down. C peeks forward and finds yet another 4K from the offensive heavy. But again, it's really starting to not matter too much.
Yeah, they weren't pushing all this time, though. As soon as they capped it, they got off it. Or like as soon as whoever capped it after Sandblast stopped it, they got off it or died or whatever. So now 90 seconds to get from here to last. This part cannot stop whatsoever. Which, like, realistically, I mean, you just throw your team at it once and then you wipe, but they run out of time. So this is, you have to play like I said perfectly before, you have to play perfectly. I don't even think
And
you might not even be able
just
to, but Uber coming in, yeah, trying to fight against Spyro and Supreme Toad. Marty air blasting it back a little bit. Uber eventually comes out from the side of MCM, just laying themselves onto the card. A lot of damage. Not really too many kills yet. TK will eventually die. Townsy as well, so they're cleaning up some kills this time around. Sar dropping as well, so Waterson has a little bit of free reign. Arrows up onto Erie. A lot of blue players falling at this point. Stab from BM, barely missing, but it's enough of a distraction. These players on the cart are not healed, and because they're not healed, the cart stops, and I think it's finally safe to officially call it dead time for that.
Pretty much. It was a valiant effort there from Froggie, but they could not bust through the second defense there. The SAR falling again to Waterson here, not making their case any better. One player I think I was hoping to see a little bit more from is Doombringer on Soldier, and he's just not doing as much as the Soldier on the other side of things. Soapymeister is putting in plenty of work here, and I don't know, I guess I'm looking for him to be a little bit of more of a nuisance in the next fight as he goes in, but unable to kill the medic there either. But Rogue does die with 99% to the SAR.
Yep, 1 second left, and that will be it. MCM taking the first round here at a pretty nice showing, pretty fast time, so they will be up ahead at this halftime. Going to take a little look at the stats in a little bit, but watching this first half of this match, it really, the good news for Froggyland is you know, not only did they get the halftime to, you know, kind of think about what they want to change going into the second half, but it felt like all of their issues are really compounded. Like, first is a giveaway, and 3 was also pretty much for free because 2 was a rollover. It really came down to what you were doing on 2, and we can get that in a little bit, but I'm sure you want to kind of take a peek at some of the stats to see who was collecting the kills and putting out the damage for their respective teams.
It's exactly what I was expecting here, with Exile and Waterson both playing very well. Exile tops the damage number with 468, but Waterson with 400 and 4 more frags, 16, 4, and 9 on Sniper with 18 headshots there, only 7 from the SAR. So Waterson is definitely putting on a show and being a better sniper here, and that's certainly helping MCM in their quest to make this a quick one. The favorites for this matchup. What are you seeing in these logs other than those stat lines?
Realistically, that's, I think, the main thing we talked about it before, that even though everyone contributes and everyone has their own little special plays to making things like that, at its core, this map is, for the most part, a demo and sniper show. We saw that in the previous time these two teams played, where their respective classes popped off and did the heavy lifting in terms of the damage department. And we're kind of seeing that again, except you know, Froggyland, the SAR is leaving a little bit left to be desired, getting shut down in some fashion, maybe losing the SS. Either way, he's not really being able to perform in the same way he did in the previous match, which we talked about. We talked about, are you going to be able to make sure that you perform at the same level, and are your opponents going to do anything different to kind of change things up and shut you down when you were a big strength to your team? So that's a pretty big factor to really think about. But in terms of the rest of the stats, I don't I mean, you can compare MCM versus Froggyland stats, and I mean, since Froggyland had some rough moments on 2 where they were just dying a lot, offense is going to make their stats look kind of meh in some areas, but I think for the most part it really started crumbling down for their honestly, if watching this, it felt like their offense was the big thing, but realistically it was just letting MCM get a 6-minute time on you. That was the main.
Yeah, that's
main
true.
thing.
I do want to point out though, and I don't mean to BM here, but the SAR did top death going 7-1 and 17, and I mentioned feeling like there might have been a bit of a soldier difference as well. Soapymeister more than double the frags and 120 more damage per minute there. Definitely some players that can step up here for Froggyland in half number 2, and hopefully, you know, build some momentum going into a second map as well. Although this is a best of 3 map, so it's not all over yet. Still an opportunity for Froggyland to come back, but not looking too good for them so far.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are going to try to refine their play as best as possible. Obviously, Froggyland have a little bit more to do, at least to try to shape things up for the second half. MCM, for the most part, look like their plan, trying to beat them, is working out. They're causing a lot of chaos on their offense, and their defense is honestly pretty standard. It kind of got a little ambitious at the end when they felt like they had already won, so I'm not really going to factor in that. But realistically looking at Froggyland, you're trying to look at like what they want to change, at least what they could, what's on the table, or what they could be talking about at the halftime. I guess the smaller thing from the offense, since it was, I mean, they could have gotten by with that offense if they had more time to work with. They very much like misplayed themselves, and it wasn't really an MCM defense thing when it came to breaking two. Their first Uber was on a solo pyro, which has no
Terrible.
it has no damage. Is the thing, like you need the pyro, sure, so your target doesn't get air blasted into a corner by theirs, but you need some sort of damage to make their medic feel like he needs to use, or on at least on his target, and they didn't have that. And then they tried to drive through the tiniest door in the map, where it's face first into an enemy team's combo, and that didn't really work out too well. But realistically, it seems like MCM's chaos is working on their offense as well as it does, because Froggyland's defense doesn't really take a whole of an initiative right now when it comes to spotting. It doesn't seem like they're playing very heavily on Shido, playing information, and if they're not going to go with that playstyle, they definitely have to be more ambitious with a lot of their classes to try to just spot stuff. Because I feel like MCM's pushes wouldn't be as chaotic and be as surprising, and to be something that Froggyland would be able to, try to accommodate a little bit easier on their defense if they knew it was coming. But so far, it feels like they're just, a lot of the times they're just sitting and they're just meeting stuff blindly they have to deal with. And it's working well enough where it just has to work semi-decently for an offending team, and you just respawn faster. And that's what MCM was kind of dealing with. They ran in, it was a surprise, they traded a bunch of bodies, and try number 2 worked out. No one blocked the cart, they had better respawners, and it just led them point after point to get that 6-minute time. So a lot of work needs to be done from both teams, but a little bit more from the side of Froggyland. But I'm curious to see what teams are going to actually do and put into practice, as we are going live into the second half of MCM versus Froggyland here on Swiftwater.
Yeah, it's going to be MCM defending first. Froggyland is definitely going to be looking to set a fast time. It was a, what was it, like a 6:15 time that MCM opened with, something like that. So Froggyland wants to come out strong, try to keep, or try to take back some momentum away from MCM, and that'll be a focus for the mental, at least. We have the crit traps going out by MCM once again, opting for that strategy, and it's going to be bats back up from Soapymeister, so keeping things pretty standard here for the defense of Swiftwater so far. And yeah, we'll be waiting to see these gates open in just half a minute.
Yep, got these strategies from both the teams very fresh on the brain. There's no there's less room for hindsight, but that's what halftime is for. You really can make the best adjustments you can when things are very fresh and very memorable. MCM with how they want to go about their defense, and Froggyland how they want to change what they were doing to try to take second in a little bit of a more convincing fashion. But as always, first is probably just going to be a little bit of a wash. Maybe you might burn some seconds depending on how you want to go about it on the defensive side, but I'd be surprised if Froggyland struggled much with making sure this first point was taken as theirs in a timely fashion.
Opening with that defensive sentry pretty far forward. Not sure if they're taking it all the way out yet. It looks like they will as they lose Watterson. Saw that engineer make the decision as soon as that class falls. Sandblast going down as well, but a scout not too important. Losing the sniper far more impactful. Soapymeister still in just a little while longer. He's trying to farm up that banner, I would guess, as well as stall the push. As Froggyland, it'll be called out here by BM, is looking for the tunnel push as soon as this, or sorry, the connector push as soon as this cap comes through, which it now has. So we'll see the real fight unfold now as Froggyland starts to peek through these shutter doors.
Yep, trying to find the timing. You don't want to accidentally run into traps. If you can pester the Demoman enough, he can actually spot the trap, and there's actually a little bit of SPS that's happening through the shutter. Both snipers not going to hit a headshot for the first shot, but it's enough to allow the blue Uber to come in. They actually brought some damage in this time, so the red Uber will come out. Pyro actually chasing forward really deep. TK actually left alone, so he can be a little bit of a pest and try to be behind and put some damage on himself, but it's just going to be TK and Moist falling at the end of the day. And Townsy dying to Supreme Toad, aka Marty. And this shutter door is open. They've let the enemy Pyro through. That might spell disaster with new traps opening up in this doorway.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be ready at all for the Exile traps.
Oh, they're going tunnel though.
Oh, well, perhaps a lucky decision here from Froggyland, but might not be very successful. This cart finally out of the tunnel as Yum Yum was doing a good job playing near it. Exile opting to drop down and now bringing his medic forward as well. It's going to be side tunnel from the combo here, at least the heavy and sniper over there. but the medic staying in main with Demo Man Moist will die to the heavy on the other side of things. Eerie down to about half health though, has to be careful to not go down here.
Yeah, over time, it seems like the Swiftwater meta has shifted a little bit. Rogue actually just being out in the open, that's a sniper sight line, my friend, will eventually die to the SAR. So no heals for this side of MCM right now in blue. Immediately using their Uber upper, they were positioned well, trying to work their way in. Marty blasting them back just a little bit. The Uber doesn't seem like it's really getting too much, maybe spare a gun, but they've gotten some vision at the very least. BM decloaking to try to cause a distraction, but there's not very many players left on the field from the side of MCM to fight this. They have some respawners coming in now. Heavy very weak. Soldier bombing in to try to cause a distraction, allow the cart to go in.
Soapy?
They've cleaned it up a little bit.
Gets Virgil. Good job by Soapy Meister there. Jumps from behind, and they weren't really ready for it. Oh! Townsy almost going down to the sniper there as he fell down. The cap does come through. Sandblast dying. Blue Walrus at the end of the fight. There's a couple more fall on the offensive side of things, but combo gets out for MCM, and they will now have pretty significant at about 40%. This will certainly mean no immediate Froggie land push here, as they try to settle in and figure out how they want to take this forward.
Yeah, good news is your second push was much faster than last time, so they've tweaked a couple things, and that shot on the rogue definitely helped a whole lot. But the bad news is now the dreaded third hold. It could be good,
Virgil
but
dies!
Seeing as Virgil immediately died to the chaos from MCM Sandbox getting that pick, it could also spell very bad if they're not able to execute well enough to take this in a timely manner as well. This could be the new second. Moist getting stabbed and Soapy getting the pick onto the SAR. So no sniper on the field either. They're just causing chaos. Townsy dying as well. They're just falling like dominoes. Are we going to see another shot onto Young to clean that kill? Oh, but Rogue, Cheeto. He salvaged so hard.
That's a big old salvage. Someone in chat was complaining about the Sixes players, but they certainly are being impactful here, coming in as ringers or just rostered. But that is a med down, and therefore ad for Froggieland. As long as Virgil stays alive, though, I don't even see how Sandblast got in that last time. Now it might be a threat from the Soldier instead. Yeah, likely upper. Supreme Toad goes down. No Pyro and Waterson down as well, so some openings here for Froggieland before they want to take this forward.
In, though.
And
Exile,
dies.
he just says, nope, I don't care that the Demo Man is here. I'm going to walk past him, and walks inside the doorway to just kill Virgil. All right,
but
but TK does the same thing.
He
But
just holds W.
despite all the carnage, blue team respawns a little bit faster, so they got some people on the cart. They have their heavy right above them. They got some decent positioning. Heavy MG battle, and Moist is going to win that. Even more room for, well, it seems like the cart pushes have moved at least a little bit, but this is not a terrible spot to be in if you're the side of Froggieland, especially with that Waterson pick. So no sniper silent I have to deal with. If you could put your team up in gym or the windows or something, and Virgil getting picked though, what is happening? I'm looking at one block of the map and
Soapy Meister's found like 3 med picks, or maybe it's Soapy and Sandblast have found 3 med picks in the past couple of past minute or two. The flank from MCM is just having a field day.
Sandblast
really
and Tuttle just behind. He's gonna kill Townsy maybe? He's fighting him on first. He gets him very low.
He
and
does.
will kill with Demo. Just slow down that push so they can't even dry it. This is what I was talking about. Not only is MCM playing very chaotic overall in the defense, but Froggieland, they're in this difficult position where third is so hard for teams as well as just individual players, because so often second is a role which makes third free. So you don't get third
Soapy
practice in your scrims as much.
Again?
Soapy gets him again. I saw it that time.
Yeah.
It's just happening time after time after time. More time burned off the clock in favor of MCM.
He comes in from a different angle a lot of the time as well. Like, we've seen him jump in from behind once. He comes up from below. He comes up from the side, those windows area. Soapymeister will finally fall now. Doombringer kills himself on a push in. Uber pops out by the defending team.
Virgil.
And it's the flank.
Where
Virgil is having a terrible... I have no clue,
He died
but
so
Flu
fast,
Walrus?
I can't even see his outline.
Peak Flu Walrus on Engineer, he's very deep. He's on the next point right now.
Ooh, the strat for the perfect flank. You can't send too many people behind, though, because it's a little bit of a choke point. But you can have a person or two here, and it can be pretty annoying to deal with. So I'm curious to see if he's going to, like, plop a telly down or something. I think he already has one up, but he could move it if he really feels like it. He has that option. So curious to see how he abuses that.
Soapymeister destroyed his gun, so I assume he knows. The Spy is looking for a play, though. That's Shido who wants to go in soon. Soapymeister will catch him out, though, it seems. Down goes the Spy. Flute Walrus is peeking this choke area, but there's just no opportunity for him. He's better off botting for the cart because it is rolling back right now. Here's the Soldier jumping in. Doombringer looking for the demo.
Oh, they got
Will pick him
Exile.
up. Exile goes
pick.
down. That was a bit of lag, I think, I saw on Exile not like server lag or anything, but XL jumping around a bit. And now a lot of positioning taken by this blue team. Virgil up on the high ground.
Yep, the gun is going to get sapped. Townsy will drop down and it's immediately just dead. Uber will eventually come out and Virgil gets sniped by Waterson, so there will be no heals or Uber or anything coming from the side of the blue team. That is a drop, and the rest of the blue team are dropping like flies. Only 3 of them left alive, one of them being respawner, but the same could be said for MCM. Moist and Doombringer doing a lot of damage, trying to be the sole survivors. Fair, I think the SAR who came in late to make sure that all this carnage somehow, even with a drop, goes in their favor.
And that gun is on the tracks right now. It's still there. And that's a nice opening pick on Tasobi. It was a nice shot, rather, to take down the soldier. SAR picking up 4 so far in this life. Having a bit more success. He's going to post up in the garage area, looking for the SVS win right now, as Waterson knows his location. Good point presence right now by the side of Froggie Land, looking to work their way forward slowly. Don't want to drop any players here, as here's the demo, or the soldier, excuse me, once again, putting some spam forward onto the cart. Yum Yum pretty weak, has to be careful to not die to these traps. Sandblast going down, soldier in the sky, getting shot down there. It's a fairly good point presence though. The scout pushing the cart up the hill. Yeah, he's gonna go down though to Sobi.
Oh, he's doing some dodging, yeah, and the cart's gonna roll back.
And Virgil died. Wait, BM just got a stab on the Virgil. We didn't even see it happen.
There's so much going on. You look at one part of the map and there's stuff happening on the other. So good thing Dolphin has the cheat feed. But the Uber does eventually get used by the side of Rogue. I think with Virgil dying, they went for some sort of sack wave, able to equalize that out of the equation. And now Eerie and friends are playing really close up, trying to stuff Froggie from actually getting forward at all. Their flank has gotten a little bit into the garage, so they're able to make some space and cause some chaos to get them to back up. But it has bought a little bit of time, you know, get situated. They got their gun. Actually, he's building out in the open air, and it's getting spammed a little bit, but I think it's surviving for now. Gonna get sapped.
Shido defloats on cart. And, I mean, the gun goes down, sure, but that didn't open up any space because Froggie wasn't forward enough. And it was 3-14, or sorry, excuse me, 7-14 through 3, which I don't think we mentioned there. That's backup going to come in, but there's not even a push coming from Froggie. They're just going to Uber forward. Was that a force onto Rogue? Didn't look like that she took any damage, so maybe MCM happy to expend some resources there just to make sure nothing else happens. Shido finds Eerie. No heavy, and now XL down as well.
Too. Yum Yum going in.
Picks there.
Rogue got very low.
Rogue, 1 health.
Oh, he gets the pack, but will eventually die though.
She goes
down. Do a lot of damage. Yeah, Rogue will eventually fall.
Rogue using she/her, I think. Not sure. But
are they?
Someone in chat can tell me.
Well, either way, no red medic for the side of MCM. A little bit of an opening for the side of Froggie Land to start pushing their way in, although they're all inside each other's model. They're all going to drop. Only 4 players left alive in this try push against an MCM that didn't really have any heals available to them. So a little bit of a misplay in their positioning, immediately just collapsed on, and what could have been an opportunity for them to really push in. It's pretty much squandered, and now MCM back to holding close to this choke to try to buy more time for their positioning and teammates to go ahead and respawn and get situated to try to hold this point for the long haul.
I've been correcting in chat. Him for Rogue. Good to know. But yeah, this is not looking good. Shido's a bit tilted in chat saying, hate this game. It's definitely a tough time for Froggie Land, but Virgil has been having the hardest time. She keeps getting picked off there. Not so much recently, but on that 3rd point, certainly was having a hell of a time there. And MCM continuing to hold this. It's looking feasible to hold this here, but with 3:30, I'm sure they'll get up the hill at some point. Maybe not now with Townsy and Voice Walrus all going down there. The Uber out from red. A little bit of consolation prize, but picking up plenty of frags.
Yeah, it's a rough spot for Froggie Land to be in. You know, the sniper's up and you have disad, so Virgil doesn't want to commit, but when the combo walks forward to try to create space, MCM just sees that as opportunity to go ahead and use the Uber. But the consolation is, because they just sacrificed their combo which respawns in like 8 seconds, Virgil has that now. So pretty decent spot to be in, another opportunity that they definitely want to use to the best of their ability. TK is going to get sniped. They've dropped a couple players trying to enter in, and it's actually just Townsy and Virgil alone right now. The rest of their team is either respawning or trying to maintain hold of this garage. Doombringer peeking a little bit, Rogue popping up the air, not quite enough to get too much extra damage onto him, but this Uber at it's pretty much gone. They're moving like they still have it, and they're trying to use it, but there's only like, it's what, 5 ad? They're getting this gun first, and that's just gonna let Rogue get it. Immediately counter Uber in. Supreme Toad, Marty, just blocking in Townsy will eventually collect him, as well as pretty much the entirety of the Froggie combo spare Virgil. So a lot of players dropping life for flies. Waterson does eventually fall earlier on, so there's no sniper presence here to lock them down as hard. But they played so slow with that, bled too many players, and another opportunity that could have been really, really nice for Froggyland just kind of thrown in the dumpster.
Virtual is playing very safe, and I do not blame her at all based on what's been happening. A combo unable to keep her alive, as well as some nice picks by the sniper. Waterson has found some headshots here and there, but Virtual not going forward on a push like that meant heals weren't really available for Froggyland. They just got steamrolled, kind of walked all over. Now Ubers are approaching full. It's going to be slight ad for Froggyland. About 95% right now, so an opportunity here to come forward, but you can't expend the Uber too early, and it's a long walk before you get in a position where you might want to use it.
Ooh, Uber and Stab coming in, a little bit of coordination. They're able to get it Eerie and Waterson. That's not too bad. Forcing the Uber as well. There's no engineer near the gun, so maybe they might be able to kill that as well, but they've gotten a little bit too deep. BM dying as well. A lot of people weak, trying to salvage anything they can, but Sandblast is actually able to find a Townsy that was not near the combo. A little bit of a misplay from the Froggyland combo. You have your part of your team inside Garage, and Virgil gets sniped by Waterson. Waterson hits the shot, and that's going to stop them dead in their tracks. Only a couple people left alive, and they are falling. YumYum drop very low, will eventually fall. The Sar is just stuck. Might get one frag on his way out, but will not be enough to hold on. So with 60 seconds left, this is pretty rough. They got like one real attempt, two total, but one real.
One attempt.
Because one's a sack wave, realistically, because Rogue's gonna Uber.
Here it is. And they're trying to go forward. They're gonna
they got
find
Waterson.
two, I guess. Yeah,
They can walk
Waterson
in
and
deeper.
Sandblast. You can push your way forward a bit, but you still have. Oh, that's a spoon. This is a bit of BM from Soapymeister. He's got the rocket
the Rogue
jumper.
dropped that.
And
That's what they
Rogue
need.
dies, though.
That's the drop.
Beagle
They needed
pick.
that. They needed that. They're trying to walk forward, trying to just drive.
20
We saw what
seconds.
happened last time, though. Last time this happened, they were inside each other's models and got melted by the side of MCM, but it seems like things are going the other way. They're falling very, very quick. I didn't even see what happened, and yeah, that's exactly what they needed.
No, but there's 10 seconds left, so they're gonna cap this point. Oh, it does reset it. That's a great point. I completely forgot. They are setting the pace. It's gonna be a very long pace.
14-minute time.
Yeah, 14-minute time through 4 points is not what you want to be seeing, but at least they capped that point. Now they have an opportunity to keep going forward. TK finds a soldier here, and it is still full ad for Froggyland, so an opportunity now to push this car all the way in. They'll find Sandblast early, and it looks like they're going for an Uber here on the flank. Picking off Waterson early is the SAR. Oh, the reflect Doombringer going down, and Rogue dying to keep the SAR there, and that'll actually be capping it out. 14:22 for the total time, more than double than the pace that MCM set on their first push.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a closeout from the side of the SAR. Really popped off in the last I want to say 2 minutes of that game to really make sure his team punched it and capped that off. But if you're Froggyland, I'm sure you're hoping that kind of success came way sooner, because this is not a time that's difficult to beat. This is going to require what's the words I want to use? This is going to require some very perfect gameplay from the side of Froggyland and some blunders from the side of MCM.
Yeah,
realistically,
MCM has to mess up on, like, every push has to take 2 or 3 attempts, every points push, because that's what it took for Froggyland. They really only capped first cleanly, and last, I suppose, because they had that steamroll momentum. But for those middle sets of points, those middle 3 points, it's got to be a lot of blunders from MCM, as well as a lot of med deaths from Rogue, which hasn't been the status quo thus far. For Froggyland to have a chance at this. 10 seconds before this push gets underway. Am I full of it, or am I thinking the right things here in my analysis?
No, this is pretty much accurate. It's unfortunate for the side of Froggyland that they only really, up until now, got to see what they were going to be up against in the MCM defense for the rest of the map, because they couldn't really break too deeply in the first half. But they're going to have to do the best they can here. Sackwave come in, not going to quite find anyone, but on the other side of the coin, Froggyland are unable to really find anything too much to slow the cart pushing down, so I think it's pretty standard, just the cart getting pushed. YumYum might W in, but he's going to be up against a mini. Oh, yeah, there's some coordination going in, able to get one. Aaron will die. Yeah, okay, no, it's happening. And, okay, cart's going down a little bit, so I'm eating my words a little bit. They are able to find at least a little bit, bought a little bit of time. So who knows, maybe that'll be just the thing they needed, but it's time to probably detransition outside, but they're so slow. Look at Soapy, he's just in, and Virgil just drops.
Virgil dead.
once again, Froggyland overstayed their welcome just a little bit. I thought they were memeing when they said in chat they were going to do a 14-minute tunnel hole, but they honestly looked like they wanted to stay in tunnel, and they definitely paid the price for it.
They almost looked like they still wanted to stay in tunnel, even with Virgil down, as this soldier is doing his best to hold off the onslaught. The Uber popped out, maybe a fear pop, but there were really no pick classes about to find that kill. So Uber coming in from MCM. Townsy going down though to Watterson is a nice find there, and this is somehow looking like it's going to work for the side of MCM.
Had a lot of space, used your Uber, didn't really get too much, but you got enough to make sure that the pace is being kept, the cart's being pushed. You got so much room that they've pretty much said, screw it, we're not holding two, we're going to hold three. Shido trying to go for a stab to get anything will not find the success there. So down a couple for your third hold, but some chaos is already starting to happen. BM is in the thick of it, as well as Soapy will get headshot by the side of the SAR to send him to the grave. So he's popping off. The tirade's continuing, but Townsy getting stabbed. There's not really going to be a whole lot of defense here in this drive push coming from MCM. They're immediately just on top of the second and third four, but their combo's alone. Exile's going to die, and it's just Rogue and Eerie alone. There's no one here to support them. It's only a distraction for what little is left on the cart. Eerie dropping low. They will eventually get the Uber popping in because they pretty much have to at this point. Falling in, trying to get anyone underneath the point. They've all pushed themselves into their spawn, but at least that gives them a little bit of space to continue to push this cart. We talked about it before. MCM Chaos, even though it doesn't look 100% clean enough at the time, it is enough damage and enough distraction to allow them to push the objective, which is what truly matters. So despite all this is happening, and didn't really look crazy clean, still good enough to find the success they need to move on to the fourth point.
Absolutely, and you know, 2 minutes to cap out, or sorry, 12 minutes to cap out 2 points is, let's say, easily done here, as soldiers will fly across the skies here. Yum Yum and Shido both going down for the defense. SAR also stabbed out. Was that an air shot from Watterson onto Doombringer with a clean headshot? If that was on camera, I want to watch it.
Oh, that was, and it was caught.
Beautiful work.
Oh, the Soapy play. Virgil drops. Oh, Virgil dropped to 14 HP and dies to a headshot from Watterson. The Wombo combo. That's some overkill there, and that's gonna set up Rogue and friends in a very nice spot, because not only are they taking fourth after all said and done, they have their Uber ready to immediately go into the enemy team's last. With 11 minutes
and 5 seconds to cap last on Swift. I wonder if they'll do it, guys. There's a chance they might get held here. The Uber coming out as they will lose a couple. Trying to work their way forward is just released Sandblast. Now Rogue escaping alone through main. Gun going down defensively, but now the ad will be back in favor of Froggyland. But there's no shot here. MCM's going to take map number 1, it seems.
There's still a little bit of time left, and you can never shy away from a little bit of demo spam. That was kind of surprising at MCM. That operated pretty much as a solo. So you'd think like, oh, they have ad in enemy team's last. With what's going on, they'll take it. But there's a little bit of execution there. They kind of took an unfortunate page out of Froggyland's book and took an Uber that was a little bit unfavorable with him. But Soapy with the play, trying to go in as much damage as he can. The air blast from TK, you know, causing a little bit of distraction, preventing some damage for his team, but the combo starting to drop from the side of Froggyland. More space for Exile to stay on the point and cap it in. There's only so many players that can just drop onto the Uber. Event will eventually come out. Rogue is nowhere to be seen, so they're going to clean up what's just there. Oh, BM. He's so low. So low health, though. There's no way.
They both are. Oh my god.
Oh, he gets it.
Sandbass finds the kill. Oh, the hero plays coming in. Alright, it's over now. Get the Uber off of them. Rogue, swap off the Uber.
You can be surprised. You'll be surprised.
Okay, no. There you go.
It took a little bit. That took longer than I thought on paper.
Yeah.
Which is why I've been saying, like, sometimes MCM, it looks like, it's like, what? You should have had that. Well, what's going on? But it's still, they do enough where it ends up not mattering. It seems like their play style definitely has a lot to do with surprising the enemy and playing really chaotic, like I've been saying in this entire match. And Froggyland don't seem to currently have a whole lot of answers to that right off the bat. Seems like they did okay, like adjusting particular moments they've already experienced, but I mean, you can only experience so much before the match ends, and that's what we have in front of us right here. MCM taking their pick 2-0 on the side of Swiftwater. And now we move on to our second stopwatch match of the night, which is Upward. It's going to be Froggyland's pick, but before we get too deep into Upward analysis, let's take a little peek at some of the second half log and see what kind of catches our eye.
It's Exile and Watterson once again. Exile putting out. Oh, I might be looking at the first logs. 1 second.
Whoops, happens.
It is still Exile and Watterson. Wait, did they?
Oh, never mind. I mean, it's like I
I'm
say,
opening
it's a sniper and demo man show. Like realistically, like on Swiftwater, that's just how it is. Um, I think no, you're
mostly Exile here. I looked at the same logs twice, but Exile with 498 and 26 frags, only the SAR beating him. The SAR coming back a bit there with 30 headshots, 30 kills, 15 deaths.
he popped off
Definitely
near the end.
yeah, he just totally popped off. Well done to the SAR, but it was not enough at the end of the
Little too
day.
late.
Too little, too late, as the onslaught from MCM was able to overrun them, and well, with so much time to cap that last point, it was pretty much impossible.
I'm kind of curious about the spy deaths, realistically. 'Cause sometimes analyzing logs is a bit tricky because sometimes you can excuse certain stat lines for offense, like you throw away your life for the sake of respawning faster and things like that. One thing that can be really nice is having a spy that lives a whole lot, just because it means that there's still some paranoia in play and it causes people to play a little bit differently. I guess most particularly, pyros might feel less inclined to do a lot of spy checking, and they just air blast. They're on air blast duty instead, and it's a little bit of a damage removed and could be annoying for your demo and your soldier and things like that. But Shido dying a lot probably. I mean, I talked about it before. It seemed like Froggyland was having a bit of difficulty on their defense, really spotting some of the chaos that was happening from the side of MCM. It seems like almost everything that they did was a blind side, and they didn't really have an idea that it was coming, like at all. They spare a couple moments, but that was the story of the match for the most part. And it's not necessarily Shido's fault per se if they don't want to play info heavy on their spy, even though it could be really, really strong for them. But if that's the case, then other players definitely need to step up with the information gathering. And that's the important thing to note, I think, when you're thinking about transitioning from Swiftwater to Upward, is because even though the terrain is different, your philosophy as a team on how you approach playing offense and defense as a collective group is probably not going to change very much. And that's one thing that's going to carry over, probably, I can only imagine, is the way they carry themselves in their defense. So you could very well see the same story here, where MCM tries to cause a lot of chaos on offense to, catch Froggyland off guard, but then Froggyland are not going to have any tools at their disposal to see it coming, and they're just going to get hit in the side of the face and, might tumble a little bit. So curious to see how that's really going to happen this time around with a little bit of different terrain.
Yeah, different terrain is definitely a way to describe it here. Upward, a staple Highlander map for as long as Highlander existed, and it's certainly a fun one to watch. Excited for any changes that might be happening. Froggyland's definitely in a tough spot though. They need to not only win this map, but then win the next one as well on Steel in order to keep their playoff aspirations alive. If not, they go home with third place. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's yeah, playing for a good bit of cash as well as the bragging rights going into the next season. Certainly would rather have the first or second place finish than the third. As people continue to get into this server, uh, I mean, you touched on this a little bit just a little while ago. I don't want to go back and look at logs, which is what I would normally default to here as teams are getting into the server. But are you looking at anyone specifically? Like, are you looking for like a set play or someone to do something specific, maybe focus down a sniper or something to make Frogland have a better shot here?
I think the special thing about Upward in comparison to Swiftwater is even though it is totally possible that you could see a match where like the logs look similar, oh, your demo and sniper did everything. I think there's more room for other classes to shine and find a whole lot of success and really dominate their respective area that they're kind of given, depending on what the point is. Uh, we saw Swiftwater was it's a map where, first is kind of a throwaway, and then you can sometimes see teams roll over certain areas as well, just depending on how things go. Like a third is a rollovers come a lot of the time. That's why teams are so unprepared. But I feel like most of the time, spare if you like really screw up in your defense, you can usually like have some attempt at holding all the upward points. So and because the terrain is different and it's a little bit you can get the tunnel on second. If you're on last, you can be a little toxic gremlin and just sit underneath where the capture area is and live under there. There's some areas where a lot of people can shine where they normally wouldn't be able to. I think in comparison when you compare the maps, and I think it allows you to have a more of an impact. And if you want to make those giant plays, to kind of even things out for your team. So I think I'm definitely looking more at like the flank, more so than just um, like a sniper demo story. Especially what we saw last time. Like MCM's flank did a whole lot for them, even though we didn't really say that in the logs as much. So I'm curious to see if they're going to be able to pull off the same thing with the train a little bit different. Sometimes in their favor, sometimes not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the pregame chaos that is accompanied with every Highlander match, and Supreme Toad is jumping around with a thermal thruster right now. Perhaps that'll come out in the match after MCM, especially. I mean, you have to imagine MCM is feeling very confident right now. You know, you win that so cleanly, especially the last time they met, it was not as clean. So perhaps MCM in a position where they can throw just a little bit, maybe with some weapon choices. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Supreme Toad jumping around, flying in the sky.
I mean, honestly, that's not even a throw if he's just gonna try to go for a sack wave. If he wants, if his team is jumping in and he wants to like support them and go as deep as possible, the thermal thruster is gonna be the thing that sends him like in the fastest. So that could be why he's messing around on it. Although he is on defense, so who knows? But
Yeah, that's why I was saying it's a little bit of a throw. I mean, if MCM were starting on offense, I would totally understand trying to warm up because it's not something you often run unless you have a set play going. Um, but you know, there's always that opportunity for the first sack wave into the first point, but that is certainly only an effective strategy when you are pushing, not defending. It'd be very funny to see a defensive sack wave, though. I kind of want to see that now. Not in this match, but just sometime.
who knows? Maybe he's just jumping around because he thinks it's fun. You never know. Guess we'll have to wait and see what everyone's loaded eventually. Sometimes you see some weird stuff. Sometimes you see some like direct hit offense. There's the question of is the scout going to use bonk or not in an attempt to go behind. There's engineer wrench choice where some engies will like do eureka effect and other times they like think it's not worth it because as soon as they leave their gun dies. It's really up to the individual and what you think you're going to be going up against and what you want to try to take down. So can come into effect maybe, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to really come down to overall your strategy for the most part. I think if there's one thing that might be easier for the side of Froggyland, because this is going to be their map pick coming into it. They did lose the last time these two teams played each other. It was a regular season match. This is a regular season match rematch. But generally, I think they're going to be looking into it more because one, they picked it. Two, more of their weaknesses on upward were exposed in comparison to MCM. So they actually have more they could have taken away from their previous encounter going into this match. So obviously, you want to win this match or win this map because if you don't, then you're out. But for the side of Froggyland, you might. It's more likely they have something, kind of hidden away in their pockets that they're going to try to execute going into this match, compared to MCM, who kind of just have to adjust to the fact that it was picked and kind of go from there. So I guess I'm kind of looking at Froggyland in terms of a combo in that regard, especially because we've seen some mixed results in terms of the Froggyland execution. I think there's a couple times we see them in favorable spots that when you watch a team and sometimes you can kind of just tell if like the other team did a really good play or if the team lost because they kind of screwed up. So far Froggyland
For
is
sure, yeah.
making some mistakes that are just like on them. Like it's an internal team thing. And I'm curious to see if that's going to play into effect with whatever strategies they have or they had in plan when they picked upward, or because they had this planned all along and Swiftwater was the map that they had to adjust to on the fly because it was the MCM pick. Is that issue going to be kind of mitigated a little bit or maybe even go away, and are they going to come up in full force and bring us to a third map?
Well, although I mean I'm recovering from a cold, so I'm sure my voice doesn't want this to go to three maps. The T of two lover in me certainly wants to see Froggyland put on a competitive showing here and maybe take us to Steel, which is always a bit of a wild card, especially in very important matches. I think Steel is a map, excuse me, where anything can happen, and upsets are one of those things. So if Froggyland can win this one, I think they've got a shot at winning the whole thing.
MCM lost their regular season steel match. The curious thing is though, they're the one that picked it. I'm pretty sure. So, you make a little mistake in your regular season, get upset one against, but you make the same statement that Froggyland is right now, saying like, "Hey, even the last time we played this map, we lost. We think that we know what we want to change, and we're gonna go ahead and pick it." So it's gonna be curious to see if because if we do go to steel, that would mean that Froggyland made the correct statement that, like, yes, we're comfortable picking this because we're going to learn from our mistakes. And going to steal means they did that, and then it would be MCM's turn to prove their statement right that picking steal despite losing it before isn't a mistake. So, but thinking about upward even more so, I think it's really hard to think about particular points because I feel like every single point is a point where I've seen a team just literally hard held on and they have to put so much extra effort to figure out how they want to break it. I've seen teams that literally get stopped on first and they have to sit down and figure out how they want to break first, on second, third, and last. So there's a lot of room for error here if you're on the side of, I guess, both offense and defense. Mostly offense, though, because it could just take forever if you don't have your stuff together.
Absolutely, and just looking at chat right now, are we going to steal? What do you think? It's the poll in chat right now.
Um, I think I don't know if we're going to steal, but if we're talking about predictions, I think this match is definitely going to, or this map is going to be closer. Not just because Froggyland picked it, but I think it's less often a one-sided affair. So especially because Froggyland picked it, I think they have a much better chance. Part of me still thinks that MCM will win this, but I think I'm gonna stick with saying it's like a 2-1, despite seeing a 2-0 in the previous map. I don't know about you though, as we go live here. Let's kill some dead air. What do you think's gonna happen?
I'm not sure. I mean, if I'm looking just at like who's got the better cosmetic loadouts, I think Dolphin showed on stream earlier. The Supreme Toad has like a really funny pyro cosmetic loadout. So maybe that means MCM wins this 2-0, but who knows? I haven't seen TK's cosmetic loadout. I'm actually gonna go find that now. As it's just demo men charging in spawn, the classic upward and payload map thing to do. Love to see that.
Yes.
It's Moist and Townsy both playing demo here. That's not Highlander, you can't fool me.
Yep, just a little bit longer to wait until we see what's going on. I don't think
Supreme Toad's
like
not running jetpack, by the way. Very sad.
It doesn't seem like there's anything too crazy about the defense, honestly. Sandblast is he's probably not doing anything strategic here. He's probably just legit AFK.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! How the heck do you get up there on Spy? Look at BM.
That's clipped. So you get on top of the roof and you just jump.
I have never seen that get used before, and that is my new favorite. I'm gonna go use that, and it's not effective in pubs, but I'm gonna use it in pubs. Spy is behind. Shido able to just walk through cleanly, so he's going for the. And here comes Townsy. Has the parachute out as the double bomb comes forward. Townsy will go down immediately. Doombringer falls as well, but Shido again successfully gonna get that sap down, and Waterson finds two nice clean headshots there. Moist Master, excuse me. Also falling, not Moist Meister, although that's a funny crossover name.
Yeah, sack attempt didn't really go their way for the side of Froggie, man. They, it's expected for your team to die after it, of course, but they didn't really find anything. They got a sap, but no gun death, no kills at all, so try number 2 leads them with no advantage whatsoever. They're just pretty much going in dry in terms of, it's not a dry fight, but you know what I mean. They're not necessarily going in with an inherent advantage, and they're actually losing a couple people on their way in. They've lost TK, so no pyro. So they can't Uber
just
change.
Went for a play and immediately got found out, and this ragdoll was beautiful. But yeah, there's no like you could go for an exchange here, but why would you want to, especially with Waterson still up as he picks off Sar yet again?
If they have a pyro now, so they're willing to do it, trying to walk forward and get the force out of Rogue. It's going to take a little bit. They're going for the gun first and just getting air blasted. Rogue will eventually use He can sacrifice his life, but they've already lost 4, maybe even 5. Yeah, 5, 6. Can I say 6? Yep. There's 2 people left alive, but they're safe and spawned there, the bare minimum. But it seems like the execution for Froggyland just wasn't quite there. They focused the gun instead of Rogue, or at least it looked like they were focusing the gun. So it just took forever for Rogue to get his Uber off, and they dropped so many people as well in that Uber exchange that they're just stuck here with a dry fight with no picks to their advantage.
Yeah, it's really not a good situation. Waterson finally dying to Shido is a great find, though, for Froggyland. Maybe going to play a bit more aggressively as Doombringer. Very low HP, just 4 health actually up on after that bomb. Doesn't find anything but the respawn timer. Townsy also went down, as does Sar.
Almost surfed the mini to safety. He died of fall damage, though. That would have been sick to actually see him live through that, but that's 46 fall damage. Can't live through that.
No, not at all. It's 3 minutes left on the clock for first point here. This is a very slow first attempt. Watterson dies in the backline as Shido picks up the stab yet again, and the Uber actually forced out here. Red going forward with Battalion's backup also expended, I believe, not quite sure. Aaron expending his crits, and now the Uber back in for the blue team. They'll find plenty in the post. Rogue, one of those. No medic now for the defending MCM. 1 point in 241. Not what you like to see.
Yeah, I mean, they salvaged at the end there. We got Watterson back-to-back, and it seems like MCM's execution of the Reaper was a little slightly off. They weren't able to catch Virgil there, but at the end of the day, still taken by the side of Froggie, and their movement blocked the hill from being taken by the side of MCM, and if you're not holding hill on second point, you're probably not holding second at all, and that's why they're immediately running forward. They know that if they don't take this territory back, they will not hold it long-term. They pushed Froggie Land a little bit back. They're now fighting on either side of each other's rocks, but once again, Watterson is so far just a respawn timer in these past few seconds here by the side of Shido, and I don't even know who picked him up last time. But either way, it's pretty helpful for the side of Froggie, and can peek as much as they need to, try to apply some spam, but taking it slow. They know they have an ad to work with long term. It's small, but it's usable. Now they have it. I can only imagine they're going to try to run forward. Uber will eventually coming out. Yum blasted back at least a little bit, but it seems like all they're going to really get is a gun here that will eventually die, and Rogue has an Uber of his own, and it looks like they might want to actually try to block this as long as they can gather their team up and ready to run forward.
You gotta be careful, Rogue, right now, because you don't want to tie to the sniper, who is peeking. Bat's backup is out, but not in a very effective spot. Oh! Beautiful shot from Sophie, though, as he comes in on the flank and hits the direct onto Virgil. Down goes all of Froggie Land. It's just Yum there. That is 8 down, and just a beautiful defensive hold. Sophie Meister really the only casualty as well. So look at the aggression and the positioning that MCM's going to take with that.
Yeah, they didn't even need to use for that, so they had an extra good spot. They didn't even just retake the hill. They've put themselves in a spot where Froggie pretty much have to do another sack wave to try to find some success here, and they've already lost a couple. I think Yum was pine and tried to go for like a sneak play or something, and the SAR losing a little bit of a spam bag. NG dropping too. There's so many players just falling for the side of Froggie Land. It doesn't even feel like I see these people dying in the kill feed, and the other half of their team is just still respawning. It's just we're just dry feeding and bleeding at this point from the side of Froggie Land. Just
Okay,
over and over and over and over and over and over again.
It's an 8-1 split positionally with just Aaron defending the cart. He has his buildings up and leveled, and he's just got the gun, and he's the lone defender of the cart as the rest of MCM plays so far forward. BM up on a rock calling out positioning. Shido dies to Aaron's crits there. You can't go and approach him because he's got the materials ready to hold down that point, and a nice 5th kill there from Watterson onto Flu Walrus, keeping that momentum going as he takes that nice little rock glitch spot and looking for some more frags onto the SAR, maybe missing it though, that attempt.
Ooh, Uber exchange coming out will eventually end, but Virgil's is much better, trying to chase down as many players as they possibly can, but getting a blast back at least a little bit, and Townsy will be a casualty for the post here, but it doesn't seem like he's quite with his team too much. Will get picked off, and Virgil falling to Watterson as well, hitting the shot he needs to make sure the rest of Froggie Land begins to crumble. There are a couple people inside the tunnel. Seems like it's just Flu Walrus left that's gonna, plop down a mini and maybe try to find something himself with his last breath, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone here to really fight, so just gonna leave, gonna preserve his life. But Rogue living at the end of that leads to another pretty good advantage for the side of MCM, and Froggie Land are gonna have to want to dry this really quickly, which is what they're doing now if they don't want this Uber to come into equation later on.
Yeah, all eyes will really be on Rogue. Needs to stay alive here, and a sniper is certainly looking for that frag. The SAR going down to Watterson, picking up his 9th frag. Soldier up in the air, that's Sophie Meister going to crater, but 4-5 now down for the offensive side here. Watterson picking up the kill streak, the 10th in the kill streak, excuse me. But that was the Uber popped out, so now add back in favor of Virgil. If she and the rest of Froggie Land are able to make that happen, you might be able to bust through this defense.
Oh, Sandblast though. Oh, he snuck his way around through the tracks, looped around, used a little bit of terrain to block him from sight, and just 3-shot Virgil. So advantage pretty much gone. Shido trying to make a play of his own, will not quite find anything, air blasted away to safety, so at least he still lives. Up at the side of Froggie Land, gonna have to do another sack wave. TK, Shido, and Moist will eventually fall, maybe even Townsy as well, depending on this last sticky. No, we'll eventually get out of there, but once again, Froggie Land, they had an opportunity, but plays the chaos from MCM sacrificing a couple players, but the rewards are reaped very heavily, and they're still holding this hill with such good positioning to be able to put themselves in.
Sandblast might be a pyroman. He just WM1 right into the SAR and picks him up. The Uber is so aggressive now from MCM as they bot on forward, trying to pick up Virgil before she escapes to the spawn. Will be Sandblast, but he can't get it, instead settling for TK. Aaron dying means no engineer now. The gun it's still alive though with barely any health. So they're not going to be able to bust through on that attempt, and it's just 40 seconds left for Froggyland here. About 40% ad to try to cap this point out. Otherwise, we might, in playoffs, see a second hold go through.
Yep, they got one honest attempt, really, to try to break this hold. They got a couple players. Exile is dead, which is very important for them. No dome man stand to stop Townsy from running forward and trying to put pressure on the enemy team. Uber will eventually come into play, trying to pump in to get this gun down. Will eventually kill Doombringer, actually. A bit of surprising there, but it seems like the rest of MCM is pretty much out. They've recognized the disad that they had and, you know, got out of that to make sure they preserved as many lives as possible. They will lose a few, but they do have their Uber preserved. No, they're blocking it?
No,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, Aaron has crits.
They're blocking.
Aaron?
Oh, Virgil surfing to safety, except that's not really safe. The cap eventually goes. This is extremely ballsy. How are you going to post it when you have 4 players alive? MCM, you still have 4 players like 10 seconds afterwards. So, honest attempt, that could have been way worse. So, and actually, even if your medic lives, the second, you know, worst thing happened where your NG died and all of that. So there's no gun here on third, which is very, very important to make sure that sack attempts are very difficult to happen for the side of Froggyland. So they have some openings.
I mentioned Aaron had those crits stored up from his gun, opting for the Frontier Justice instead of a more defensive engineer primary here. 2 go down early on for Froggyland will certainly slow down the cart pushing, and there's the medic down. Waterson picks up Virgil again with a nice clean headshot, and that'll give time for Aaron to start getting set up. But yeah, he wanted to use those crits, he wanted to go forward, and will lose his life as a result, and just now starting to get this gun up.
Yep, well, that pick from Waterson, you know, bought enough time to at least get something. It's up here now. So they don't have a sniper at the very least for the side of Froggyland, but Townsy dying to a trap. All right, well, no more sniper to work off of because you got to wait for your demo. But, I mean, at the very minimum...
Oh, the Uber's in from red again. Look at them go. They just want to keep storming on forward. And,
I guess you could technically call that a force.
Wait, Moist flanking right now in Shithouse. He's going to take the 1v1 versus the engineer and the gun. And no way, the melee. Oh, I thought we were going to see a melee kill because we have a
Sandblast got Virgil
somewhere. Again. Oh my gosh.
On top of the hill above spawn, just finds a way to sneak in, regardless of the point, regardless of the map, to make sure that the advantage stays in Rogue's favor despite using their Uber to collect all those players. So we see this time and time again at MCM, you know, they Uber in on defense, they don't necessarily get the medic, so it's like, oh, Uber shift, so is Virgil gonna have ad now? And then the plays coming from MCM's flank, just making sure, even Waterson as well, making sure that the Uber is put back in Rogue's favor as we're seeing right now. Cheeto trying to go for a play, will not quite find anything. Vander coming out, Soapy trying to repeat the success they had previously. They are able to get the SAR at the very minimum, so a little bit of you know, damage there and some kills collected, but they've lost their flank at this point, so they don't really have too many chasing classes, as well as Exile. If they want to use this Uber, they're actually peeking into the house. A little bit dangerous positioning, but I think they are going to eventually back up here.
Oh, Waterson missing a shot there. He peeks again. No fear on this man. And the gun, look how aggressive this gun has now been positioned. Every time MCM, this is like something that I always see with Froggie in sixes. Froggie will not give up ground they don't want to give up, and they will take back ground given any opportunity. And MCM's doing just that right now. They are taking back all the ground they can.
Townsy alone.
They're playing so aggressively, and now there's another Uber coming in for the defense here. I think we've seen like 2 Ubers. Oh, it's getting stopped though. Rogue's in a bit of a pickle here. At the end of it, will go down, as does Exile. But we've seen probably 2 Ubers out of MCM for every 1 from Froggyland, and now Virgil dies at the end to Sandblast yet again.
Yeah, but the good news is for Froggyland, despite this, you know, you cost a couple players, you have some people rolling out at this point, but at least you got the card up the hill, at least you got some kills from the side of MCM, so they're actually on minis now, so there's no level 3s to worry about, as well as Rogue still being dead in the grave, as well as Marty, so there's not really going to be a whole lot of spam, and now people on MCM are just falling. Froggyland have found their footing. It took a little bit, but they finally found the spot they need to be in. Sandblast falling as well, getting shot into the sky. Exile getting killed by Doombringer, who was able to collect that kill, so 3 left alive is not going to be enough to hold on this point, especially with BM dying at the end there, so giving up point, let's go ahead and back up, and so people will get the SAR at the very least, but Yeah, 1207. That's mega rough.
Mega rough. The Conjurer is being held right now by Sophie-Meister. He's going to go for a play, I think, onto the combo. He's got to turn right now because he's in a bit of a pickle here. The demo drops down below, will pipe down the sniper, and down goes Sophie as well. That was a very unfortunate play. I just don't think he heard it.
They got pinched in lower. They tried to transition and just got completely destroyed. So there's only 4 players left alive for the side of MCM. VM will, get a stab and will eventually live on Deadringer now. So they have some room, but Exile falling to Deadringer, who's spawn camping. So many players on the cap. They found their footing real hard now.
History.
They've kind of you get to the second to last point and then just collapse. But
yeah,
too little, too late in terms of getting a sub 10-minute time.
Yeah, it's certainly not a sub 10, but they did the exact same thing on Swift, where they were just banging their head against the wall and not making a dent for the first couple of points, and then they cap the second to last point, and it is like a 30-second cap to the end. Because we were at like what, 12-10 through 3, and it's a 12:47 finish. This isn't unholdable.
It's doable.
Per se. It's holdable, but it's gonna be a tall task for Froggyland as they set up with those crit traps, and Doombringer is gonna be on Conjurer here for the defense.
Yep. I think this is definitely the point where if you had any strategies, definitely deploy them now because you're definitely gonna need them. This is the Froggyland pick, so they probably had something in mind going in this match, figure out what they want to change. And who knows, maybe it was defense. Maybe they just have a way they want to hold this to try to beat MCM in particular, as that was their opponent when they played it last time around. So you got maybe a couple players have changed, but there's definitely some comparisons to be made there about player tendencies. So it's an opportunity for them to put themselves around on the board here, although it's going to be a little bit rough to hold this for as long as possible. Who knows, anything can happen as we are going live. Curious to see how MCM is going to go ahead and take their first sack. Seems like they're getting in position, just do some light spam, not bombing right out of the gate because they want their cart pushers to be able to participate.
Ashido got bumped, but the Pyre wasn't looking. That's like the place to check.
BM though,
BM.
You're watching the wrong spy, just decloaks in the bush.
Oh, Sophie almost got a nasty Market Gardener as well, but didn't even need to go in for that because Virgil drops. As you mentioned, yeah, watching the wrong spy there, my bad. Uber coming in now on the blue team to start down, and Exile is not going to find too much with that Uber, but the first point for free for the side of MCM. Yum Yum's still behind though. He's hiding on these rocks.
He's hiding a little bit. They see him though. Watterson has spotted him, so he's called out he's there, but he'll actually get the Watterson kill, so it'll slow things down a little bit. It'll actually allow the SAR to spawn up first, so it's going to be difficult for MCM to actually dry push this, although they do get Townsy, so even though they don't have a sniper, they do have a demo advantage. He was actually just going for a raw sack. Exile bombing into the air as well, Sophie trying to get as far as possible. Virtual pop in the air, but will not find the second rocket, so Virtual lives to fight another day, but they have gotten so much room from that sack. They've actually taken the enemy team's position. Moistmaster behind, though, might go for a pinch play if the timing is right. He's unspotted, at least for now. Will eventually around this corner. Will fight the Pyro. Marty, Supreme Toad, blast him back. Sandblast and Watterson go for the kill, though. So a little bit missed time. Team not really quite there. It seems like they're afraid of the Uber. They're not really quite sure exactly what they're at. The SAR dying as well is going to prevent Rogue from hiding in a corner. And they've actually put themselves out and over in the bomb from Sophie, make sure Yum Yum falls as well. And MCM have completely taken over the second point.
Oh, absolutely. They're storming on forward. Sophie-Meister taking the Soldier right now. Will have some help from Watterson there to win it. So when Exile bombed forward, he landed on TK. But before he landed, TK hit the reflect, and that was Exile off the map, which is why I laughed. It was just a very unfortunate, didn't surf that properly, and he goes down. Speaking of going down, the SAR falling means no defensive sniper, no defensive pick classes for that matter, as they try to hold on here to point number 3. Definitely need to make a stand with 10:30 to push. MCM in a great position to open up with a first half win here on map number 2.
And a fresh NG death is not what you want to see if you're a Froggyland fan. That's going to be very rough. It's not going to be too difficult to spam down the gun. I mean, you might have to, fight against Townsy and the SAR on your way. Sobi will actually try to just bomb into it, but will not quite hit the mark. They're getting some damage on the other classes will fall. But this cart time for the defense is pretty good. Uber will eventually come in, trying to get as much as possible. TK to blast back, and it's actually sent Rogue down on the tracks. So that's going to be the end of the Uber, at least for now. Trying to get any damage they can on all the cart pushers. Going to make Aaron at least a little bit weakened. It's going to stop them dead in the tracks. For the moment, the post Uber going to come in. They're trying to push the way up the slope. MBM taking some positioning. Townsy getting shot, though. They've
Shido
dropped a
missing a
lot so
stab.
far. There's a lot falling for the side of
Virgil
Froggyland.
Virgil was down to 4 health there. Walrus has these crits in play.
Ooh.
I'm sure he wants to make something happen with it, but I am honestly very surprised that Virgil lived, and a good job by Virgil for living, but now in a lot of trouble here as
Oh,
will
the
go
shot
down.
from Watterson.
Watterson missed a couple on point number 3. Comes in. First shot on point number 4 is a medic killed. A very clean shot as well. And we'll find the SAR as well. It's a 4K here for Watterson.
Yeah, very greedy play from the side of Froggyland, taking tiles with so few players left alive, and they are going to get punished as the MCM Ubers clean them out and is Ubering into their spawn to lock them down as much as possible. Moist getting dropped pretty low, so Peeps doubling back to try to collect some of these flank players. Exile going to fall though. Seems like Rogue's in no man's land. Will eventually find Ear, who's in the enemy team spawn. Rogue will eventually fall to Doombringer, so it seems like the chaos is a little bit too much for them to try to execute to make sure it's capped at least for now, but Iron Man last hold for the side of Froggyland. Gotta hold this for a very, very long time. 9 minutes, just a little bit under, as they gotta be pretty much flawless from here on out. Some duels happening underneath, at least a little bit of spam, but will not really amount to a whole lot. But with Townsy being a very fresh death on the side of DBM, this dry push from MCM is gonna probably find at least some success here.
Shido's looking for a play in a moment. Sandblast spotting them out, and Sandblast now in a position where you can just cap this for free, and that is what he is likely going to do here. No one in position to jump out of the car, except a hero play from the engineer, but will die to his counterpart as Aaron, 60 health, going down on the cart. Another failed last push there by MCM, getting some frags, but not enough to bust the cart into the pit. Now Soapmeister taking the duel with the soldier, but he's weak here, and Doombringer will win that one. The SAR down means no fear on peeking, and here comes once again MCM busting in with an Uber this time, playing the cart pretty closely. Got to be careful that TK has the opportunity to air blast you off, in the stab. Oh, Shido missing the stab, wasn't fully uncloaked, but a couple of frags going in favor of this defense. A couple down on both sides actually. Both medics living thus far. Sandblast very weak, has to wait for some heals before bonding for this cart once again.
Trying to salvage as much as possible. You can't lose this cap if you're the side of Froggyland. You have to hold on for as long as possible. They're dropping so many players though. Virtual does eventually fall, so no heals for their team. They have Townsy, red health underneath, still trapping the spawn, but it seems like it's enough for MCM to back up at least for now. Definitely shout out to Jimir, was causing a lot of problems for them just inside tiles during that Uber, preventing the team from walking forward, and there's a lot of salvaging and a lot of success coming from the side of Froggyland, but they have to keep the momentum in their favor. They've lost 2 flank classes, so their ability to pester around tiles is going to be a bit difficult, especially with Shido falling to Sandblast. So the job to help people, they know where the enemy team is coming from. At least they get the Sandblast pick. They found Aaron with the Uber, eventually coming out from the side of MCM. This is Ad. They are going to chase down Townsy, and Moist dying to a backstab as well, so everything's crumbling with 4 players left alive, and they're all in spawn. They have no positioning, no counterplay, just locked down. Yum Yum will barely get to the cart, but not quite enough to stop it, and that will be a capture and a round for the side of MCM.
Yeah, that was an admirable last hold there from Froggyland. They did their darnest to try to hold that one off, and there was still 6:41 on the clock there, but they really did try their best. MCM with an immediate ready up, but they're going to swap back, and now we'll take a look at logs.
It seems like their ability to salvage last, at least, is it looked pretty strong there for the side of Froggyland, but the rest of the map leaves a little bit something to be desired. I think mostly it comes down to what happened in the very beginning of the match, where it took a bit to push. It wasn't exactly what we saw in Swiftwater when I think it came to the problems, but looking at the logs here, you definitely want to point out Watterson topping the charts in the kill department. It's very huge when it came to that defense for the side of MCM. There were so many times where he would just swing by and kill at a very important class to just stop a push that was going to be very favorable for the side of Froggyland. Even if it wasn't necessarily a Virgil kill, if you can just kill Townsy or like even Yum Yum, who's supposed to be pushing the card, it really stops them from really going for the objective real hard. So kill collection was definitely a very important factor. Doman obviously shining very high when it comes to the damage department. XL with a little bit of a better KD though, but not by crazy huge margins. The only crazy huge margin that I think it's necessary to point out that you might not necessarily look at right off the bat is medic test, which I don't think we really talked about too much. Very important for payload.
They were fairly even. Like Virgil was down on map number 1 a lot in healing, but it was surprisingly close in med deaths. But not the same story here. Triple the med deaths on this this map here. 1, 19, and 3 for Rogue. 0, 7, and 9 for Virgil. So, and it's been Sandblast a lot of the time getting in. He has at least 3 med picks.
Yeah, it's been this series has been Sandblast and Soapy salvaging real hard for the side of MCM, and I always go back to saying they're playing very chaotic, and Froggylander's unable to see it. And we saw this in this half once again, where these plays, you probably should be able to spot it before your medic is taking damage in a lot of these scenarios. I mean, occasionally you can like a surprise play will end up working out favorably that you didn't really see coming. But for the most part, I feel like I'm seeing moments of him like snaking around in areas that uh he should be seeing. And I think Froggyland is in a difficult spot where you have two separate problems that require very opposite solutions, but you have to be extremely careful on where you apply them. We see moments where people snake around and make these crazy plays that should be spotted. So it makes you feel like you want to play more aggressive so you can kind of see what's going on. But then we also saw, especially, I think we saw this the most on Froggyland's attempt to take Hill. Like, if you are too aggressive too quickly without the rest of your team around you, you just get picked off. We saw the reason why so much time was taken off the clock, at least in Maya's, the thing that's memorable to me about the past 10-minute cap time was after the first cap, Froggyland just bled and bled and bled, and they couldn't really get an honest attempt at a dry push going. They just would go and roll it to first point and then just get killed by Waterson or killed by someone peeking around the corner just spamming down at them. And you got to find a balance between trying to find information if you're a non-spy class, but also making sure that you're not going so deep that you just end up dying and being unable to support your team while the rest of them are rolling out and they're not really going to have your support when they're ready to go. So it's all about finding a balance and applying your solutions to the correct problems. And so far, it's not quite hitting the mark, but obviously we got the halftime to kind of change a few things, as well as MCM. Can try to refine the play the best they can and make sure that this match is closed out two in their favor. I'm sure they'd be happy about that, but Froggyland got some work to do. But you never know. This was their map pick, so maybe their adjustments and what they prepared for hasn't necessarily come out yet. We're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be looking for adjustments on both sides, but especially, obviously, the side of Froggyland. The kill difference was 57 in favor of MCM there, 160 to 103, I believe, which is like doesn't like I don't know. It's hard to look at a specific stat like that and just be like, well, Froggyland has to play better. But I think they need to play cleaner and a little smarter on how they want to go in. Like we saw on map number 1, they just took a solo pyro Uber. Things like that are not conducive to getting quick points and quick wins. So I just want to see a little bit more refined play from Froggyland. But um, at the same time, like they're taking their time here in this halftime, so I'm hoping that's what they're doing. It's not just like someone going into the bathroom or something. I hope they are talking, like you were mentioning, and trying to figure out how they want to change things up.
They found some footing, and we saw in the. It seems like near the end of some of these rounds, we're starting to see them find their groove. It seems uh, like on last we just saw they were able to find some chaos of their own to make things last a bit longer when it comes to the defensive side. So maybe just apply that to the rest of the areas of the map and kind of exploit some of MCM's weaknesses and uh, kind of use their own strat against them. Try to find some plays and work together to achieve some really important kills and key picks for your team. But just time to adjust and adapt. It's all on the line here tonight. Whoever loses this match and there's a BO3 is eliminated. So definitely want to give it all you got, and there's no holding back here. So if you need 5 minutes to talk it over to make sure you know you aren't eliminated tonight, you definitely want to give it all the time you can.
The SAR just put in chat, y'all ready for this comeback? And Aaron says yes, Sandblast says no. I would love to see a comeback. That'd be a really fun story to have here as MCM readying up, preparing to start what might be the last half of the night on this second map. Froggyland unable to do very well on map number 1, losing 2-0 on Swiftwater, and now MCM up 1-0 here on map number 2 upward. But if Froggyland can turn this around and win the next two halves, we'll go on to Steel for the deciding map. And I really hope BM is joking about needing to ring someone right now, because we don't need that.
You never know. I think Steel will be really interesting. I don't know if we're gonna get to it though. I think it really depends on how Froggyland kind of adjusts, but I think it's always considered a upset maps, and there's a lot of room for chaos to happen due to like little moments of like unpreparedness or lack of coordination where it's extremely demanded more than a whole lot of other maps sometimes. So I'd be curious to see who really comes up on top then, because you know, it might be what we've seen so far is the moments where Froggyland is able to find a whole lot of success is when they're able to kind of do the same thing that MCM is doing in terms of just like using their flank and some of their pick classes to draw out fights, make them really crazy and hard to keep track of. And part of that also has to do with map terrain, regardless of who the actual players are in the server. And Steel is definitely a map that you can, kind of surprise the enemy just because there's so many walls and so many paths you can kind of hide and put yourself in. If you think about Upward in particular, most of there's little pockets and stuff, but most of the time, the really chaotic stuff that happens on Upward has to do with last, just because there's a lot of sightline blockers, there's a lot of walls, there's a lot of things that someone can't see from really far away and can just kind of get blindsided at the last second. And Steel's going to be pretty much full of that spare a point or two. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out for Froggyland if we get there when the terrain lets them do something that so far, at least I think, has given them success. But who knows, just because something might look nice on paper or to viewers might not be necessarily what they're talking about in the halftime or what they think is best for them. I think it's always important.
Wait, okay.
Huh.
Just real quick. Virgil's running around right now with a melee out, and that melee is the Vita Saw. And I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised based on how hard it's been for Virgil to stay alive, like especially within the combo and whatnot, if they might opt for Vita Saw. That keeps some Uber, right? I know it got reworked and it was kind of weird, so I never used it. But doesn't that let you keep some Uber after death?
If you hit someone.
Oh, you have to hit someone? Okay.
Well, she's basically saying for the most part, assuming it's like a deliberate, like serious choice, is you can't run Solemn Vow because sniper sight lines, really. At least how this match has gone in a lot of moments. So if you're going to use a weapon that requires melee to actually find some use, so far it seems like Virgil's been put in some sticky scenarios when she's really close to someone, and it's less about, let me farm some free Uber, and it's more like, let me save my life. So if you just use the Uber Saw and you're going to die right after anyway, it doesn't matter. And that's what's been kind of happening. Whenever someone gets really close to Virgil, like, I think so far it's pretty much just been like Soapy and Sandblast. A lot of the time she's been getting picked off. So if you can, get a melee on them right before you die, maybe you can get a little bit extra, before you respawn. But we are going live, so really curious to see how things are going to change. Although I think that was just for pregame. She has switched back to the Uber Saw, so
yeah.
No Vita Saw here. Back to normal.
Dang, I would love to see a feeding medic just to keep the Uber chart. That would be, I don't know, maybe something I would see in an RGL video pod. It is.
Maybe she is on
so I don't know. She might go back to it. She might forget and go back to it.
I mean, realistically, you might as well.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's a wacky choice that I might see in an RGL video pug video instead of a playoff match. And if you haven't seen those videos, look at this segue. If you haven't seen those videos, you should go check them out because they're really cool and really fun to cast, and all the invite players that were part of them were really enjoying it. Go check out the YouTube channel, see that TF2 players versus the Moon video. But
she got off
that.
it.
Yeah, she did get off. But we are now gonna open the gates for what might be the last half of the night. Looking for an opening pick. As always, will be the snipers.
Yep. So far, Aaron going to be the first one to die, but it seems like MCM is going to go for some sort of sack soon. They're doing the classic keep your medic and spawn. Pretty much every team does that, not really playing too fast here. But timing it, though, they want to make sure their cart is close enough before they actually pull the trigger. It's going to take a bit longer because Aaron died, so it's just Sandblast pushing pretty much, but they will eventually bomb in, or at least exile a little, but seems like they're a little bit staggered, at least somewhat. They're able to find a little bit of damage, but Doombringer will be the only person that will fall. Shido does get flamed down at least a little bit, so their stack doesn't really find what they want, but they at least get some sort of kill. So try number 2 going to eventually come out. Got the respawner set up, going to get crit healed, and curious to see if they're going to go ahead and Uber straight off the bat, or yeah, they're bringing Rogue out, so they're at least poking and prodding to see how Froggie are going to be holding this and how they're going to react. And Uber immediately coming out from the side of their team, trying to run forward. Uber coming out from Virgil as well, counter Uber. It's actually much better. The rest of MCM just backs up all the way, but they are down 2 players with the side of Froggie for this post. So MCM in a pretty decent position here.
And we're going to see more, staggered aggression.
Oh,
the Soldier
Virgil
jumping
dies
forward,
last
and Virgil dies last second, walking up that hill down to the sniper headshot. Waterson's just been able to find those crucial picks at the crucial moments, and down she goes, and that's big old ad here for MCM now. About 50%, probably closer to 60-65 by the time Virgil gets up and starts healing. And the SAR down as well means, look at this MCM combo. They're playing so far forward. Rogue not even quite with them. Exile might be in a bit of trouble. Down goes Moist though, and this gun is basically the only thing stopping a spawn camp at this point.
Yeah, the only saving grace here is Yum Yum is behind, will eventually get cleaned up. There is a teleporter exit that's still on first that might come into play later. I doubt it though, but you never know. I guess it's important to note that that exit is still up somewhere. But yeah, that's a pretty much free second for the side of MCM. Froggie didn't really have a chance to give an honest attempt at a hold there, although they have lost a lot of people before second is even capped. So they have to, I guess both teams have to be careful here.
BM is in position for a stab. Just has to get ready for the decloak here. He's been playing up in that stairs in clock and tiles. And gonna drop down, it looks like, and go for something that spawn instead. But Doombringer taken down, no defensive soldier, and now no defensive heavy either. 2 opening frags for the side of MCM to work with, and they're gonna find Townsy as well. A nice headshot there from Watterson. Uber coming forward, gonna find that gun fairly quickly, popping back. Exile off the map, into the pit he goes, and Rogan, bit of a tough situation as well, narrowly escaping. Yum Yum couldn't chase down the frag.
The Pyro class saves the day once again, so it's going to be a little bit of a stifle for the side of MCM's push, but they have so much on the field that they're still able to have some sort of presence here. The rest of Froggie they're pretty much backed up. I think they've recognized it despite the pick they got in that Uber. It's not quite enough. They've lost a couple of their own. The SAR starting to pop up at least a little bit. He's gotten 2, but will eventually get picked, is unable to get the 3rd in time to Sandblast. Surely going to cap this off, and it's going to be a 3rd cap for the side of MCM in a very quick fashion, so we're going to have to see that Froggie last hole once again try to come in clutch and see if they can hold on to this long term, but
I'm sure Sandblast is having a he's not to make a Sandblast pun, but I'm sure he's having a blast just looking backwards and pushing a cart right now, avoiding sniper headshots. Benny famously hates playing Highlander because Scout has to do that. Here's an Uber coming out of the blue team, but I understand now as Sandblast just has to be there for this whole time. Eerie goes down as the Sobiemeister as this red Uber comes forward just a little bit, maybe a little bit too far. Gotta be careful to not lose any more combo members. Supreme Toad maybe in position here as Exile also peeking forward. Want to get Virgil down, but now Exile is getting stuffed just a bit, and they won't be able to find any more combo frags. Exile and Aaron actually both going to go down here. So a bit of momentum stuffed by Froggyland, but MCM will be coming right back at them.
Yeah, try number 2
and Virgil down.
Didn't really have the defense there. Just around the corner, Doominger will fall off and block the card, for at least for now. A couple MCM players have fallen, but they got the person they were looking for, Virgil, off the field. And add for the side of Rogue. A little bit of a misplay from Froggyland with their positioning. They're not really prepared for that main flood. So MCM are going to build up their rad and get ready to try to push in the Froggyland last hole. But we've seen how they've been able to salvage on this last. So I wouldn't be surprised if they earn this for the long haul and try to hold this for at least a little bit longer. But MCM working their way through lower, will eventually meet Yum Yum, but that's not going to be enough to force Rogue. Just a couple weak players, especially a heavy, but they're working their way towards Towels. They got the sniper set up in there, actually going lower to go straight towards the point. They're going to catch Townsy potentially. He's juggled at least somewhat. He keeps an arrow at the last second. Will eventually die, though. I can only imagine Sandblast on the short top is able to collect that frag. So no demo for the side of Froggyland, no superior span, as well as the SAR and Shido dying as well. So no immediate pick classes coming from their team. It's pretty much just the gun and then maybe the Pyro. TK trying to cause anything he can to just blast them back. Yum Yum coming in clutch too to try to block the cap, but they still have a very grand presence here despite losing a couple players from the picks that they've gotten. Moist Masters rushing in. Same with Yum Yum. Gets eventually popped off. Rogue is just in. He is behind that box. He's claiming it as his own. Exile will eventually fall. Gun dying as well, so MCM crowding around the cap, and this is looking like it's going to get Shido misses the jump, unable to block, and that is a cap coming from MCM. That is once again a very quick time.
Yep, a very quick time, and that now, oh wow, 5:23. Not the fastest time we've seen throughout the season, nor the fastest time we've seen on Upward. as a whole in RGL, but still a good one. I honestly forgot that there was an opportunity for Froggie to push forward now. I thought that was game, so I'm glad you were talking because I was about to say, and that will be it. But no, MCM has to try to hold this now. I think they'll have a pretty easy time doing so, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough because if you think about it, I think MCM, they had like, let me think about it. They had that was normal. This point was free. This point took 2 tries. That point took, so they got like maybe 2 mess ups. Froggie. And I'm not counting sack waves. I'm talking like you sack, you try to do something from the sack after you respawn and it fails. They got like 2 of those, which is, that's not a lot of breathing room. It's totally possible. You could play really well and roll over some points very quickly, but it's gonna require some pretty pristine gameplay. So we'll see if they're able to come out on top here. That's honestly a pretty nice start. Honestly,
yeah. You love to see that if you are on rooting for the blue team here. I love that Swiftwater is opting for that position. I love playing there as Soldier, especially running Black Box Conch, but he immediately gets found out, forced down. Shido in tunnel will be looking for an early stab and sap, but immediately caught out when the Uber pops in onto CK, but there's no damage in on this Uber once again, opting for a solo pyro and popping right back. The red team finding so many more frags as they picked up 5. Virgil just 30 health. Has to be even more careful. Sandblast wants to chase it down, but can't quite make it, and will not pick up yet another med frag there. So maybe another opportunity in a moment as Swiftwater jumping forward will find Townsy in spawn. That's a nice play.
That's a stuffed dry push if I've ever seen one. You've got to build even more time away, and now this could last long enough for Rogue to actually get his Uber middle of the fight, so curious to see how that's going to play out. If they want to dry right now off of Townsy's respawn, still an opportunity, but they got to definitely play it fast, because if it takes too long, Rogue will be able to use his 20% ad, and they're actually peeking forward very aggressively. They know the entirety of the team isn't quite there, able to collect Blue Rollers and Doombringer from the side of Watterson. Enough space created by the combo to allow him to stand just out in the middle of just the field, getting Townsy as well. He's on a tirade against them and just collecting so many frags. Will eventually die, but that created enough chaos where they were able to make sure they get their Uber in time for an Uber exchange whenever they want to.
Shido looks like they're going to opt to go all the way back to spawn, but with 340 here,
maybe
kill the telly. Maybe just getting the health and coming back. We'll have to wait and see what the play is. Ubers are now fully even though, so we'll likely be seeing another exchange. Here comes the blue team coming forward. Have a bit more damage in on this Uber, so Red will pop back a lot sooner. Rogue now has the Uber faded. Sar down. Means no real threats to an escaping medic if they do need to back out, but it doesn't look like they'll have to as there's only 3 alive for this offense. Virgil, TK, and Moist, and now Moist falling as TK dies to the sniper. It's just Virgil. A couple of spawners. She'll respawn. Do the resupply bind, excuse me. Swiftwater's just gonna wall bug as well, just waiting for some fool to peek forward. He wants Townsy again.
Oh, almost finds him.
No,
not quite though. I think MCM is doing a really good job of punishing the little things from the side of Froggie, like especially with the Uber exchanges right now. But Exile dying, it's going to be a pretty good spot for them, especially with Watterson dead from a little bit before. So this is your opportunity if you ever had one. It's pretty much got to go flawlessly from here. They do have a disad they have to work against for the side of Froggie. Rogue only a couple % left until they get an Uber of their own. Yeah, but the cap doesn't change the spawns too much, so MCM staying here. They know it doesn't change too much, but they didn't really get it. Uber eventually coming out from the side of Sandblast. This is that they're going to ignore the cap because they know it doesn't really change, but trying to get as many frags as they can. They're able to get Virgil and Townsy. BM coming with the 6 stab to make sure that the rest of Froggie will eventually fall. Only 3 players left alive, and they get that cap, but at what cost? Rogue is out of there with the rest of his team. Don't got too much, but just quite enough to still hold onto this for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah, there's a lot of ground to be made up here, or to be crossed rather, for the offense of Froggie, so they're definitely not too concerned. Opting for mini sentries even is Aaron, as we have yet another aggressive hold on Hill. Watterson looking for a pick as he peeks aggressively. Sar ducks his shot, and BM is going to get caught out there in the back line. Soldier up in the sky right now. Swiftwater is running the spoon and rocket jumper, missing the position there. But it looks like he's going to get out. Just a madman in the sky.
Yeah, they're trying to sneak cap this, but a lot of players have came back and make sure this Yum Yum kill is collected. Is Soldier bombing in? Doombreaker able to collect Rogues. That's a pretty nice pick. Only 4 players left alive for the side of MCM as the rest of the Froggie Lane players are trying to desperately get to the cart as fast as possible. But realistically, you got a minute 20 left with 2 points. This is looking, if this cart, it might be dead time. If this cart doesn't keep going in like the next 5 seconds, I'm gonna call it dead time.
Yeah.
It has to start going. Okay, it started going now. I'm gonna officially call it dead time if it ever stops. It probably is already dead time, but I just don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to buy my words. But I think.
Right. Look at Erie Heavy on the cliff right now with Tomislav. He's waiting for the cart to get that close, but honestly not sure it even will. Exile and Rogue both taken down though. That's a big double kill there for Frogland to find those 2 frags in particular. Erie in the position now to make a play on cart if he wants to, and he's got that Tomislav revved up, waiting for the right moment. It's gonna be now, but it looks like he's been spotted.
Yep, trying to get as much damage as he can. You have Marty behind as well. There's so much chaos happening. I think MCM are definitely playing like they've already won. They definitely have. They're very
throwing. It's
familiar.
20 seconds. It's over.
They're very familiar with the amount of time it takes for each of the points. So I probably could have called dead time much earlier, but I just wanted to be super safe. But yeah, there's not enough time left on the clock. You can maybe get third. You can get something. But that's gonna be pretty much it.
GG in chat.
Yep.
Virgil says, well, the shove. I think we might have just seen Sandblast get a shove in there. It's a nice job, but that'll be the conclusion of this match. MCM winning the lower bracket finals in a 2-0 fashion on Swiftwater, followed by Upward here. So well done to them. We'll take a look at logs here, but I'm fairly certain there's not going to be too much of a story to tell.
You know, MCM coming out on top, showing everyone that they're going to be the dominant team tonight. They definitely played very aggressive, and they punished a lot. If Frogland was not necessarily keeping track of, a lot of their aggressive Ubers were salvaged. The pushes they would do, even somewhat randomly sometimes, just created enough space for either like pit classes or flank members to make sure that, you know, even if you like use a little bit of resources, you gain way much more back. Like, sure, we'll lose 3, but they get the pick that they're so desperately after. So definitely did a really good job tonight. As we're looking at logs to see what the second half of the logs look like. It's actually going to be XL enters the 500 DPM club, which is always nice to see as a dome. And if you're looking at that stat for yourself, definitely played a huge part in making sure that people were weak on the enemy team to have them all cleaned up by, it seems like, Erie and Watterson for his respective team. But the SAR is actually going to top the charts in the kill department for the second half.
Yeah, definitely playing well there. Looks like some people wanted to have some interviews, but we're not going to be having that tonight. Don't think we have the time. But what else are you seeing in these logs here?
I think for the most part, like, there's not anything that's like super crazy. Like, the only thing that's been consistent is the Shido deaths are a lot. Top deathing for your team, which is like that's not uncommon for spies. Like, it's totally normal to see a spy top death for your team. But because it seemed like a lot of the shortcomings of Froggyland, not all of them, but a lot of them were somewhat information based. It kind of makes sense if you're not able to have the eyes for your team to be able to see what's going on, like the team's doing an aggressive defensive Uber, or like someone sneaking their way behind to go hide in a corner to eventually get on your medic, then someone else is gonna do it, and it wasn't really there. So I guess you can kind of look at the logs and look at the game we just watched, and it kind of makes sense why things were happening as they were. But for the rest of the logs, I don't think there's anything too crazy realistically.
Nothing is standing out to me as extra special here. It was just a tough game for the side of Froggyland. Weren't able to get their footing really until they had some flashes of greatness, especially on like third into last. If they had that momentum throughout the entire game, it would have been a very different story, but they really only found their footing after 10 or so minutes of smashing their head against the wall. And that just wasn't conducive to finding the W. And with that, they go home with third place, which is nothing to scoff at, but certainly not what they came into this match hoping to achieve.
Yeah, sometimes you're really close and you just end up wanting more and more and more, and it gets cut close. But sometimes the story of TF2 is a battle of adaptation. You can be a pretty talented team, but If the other team just kind of wises up to what you're doing and makes the adjustments where you're not able to, then it doesn't necessarily work out your way at the end of the day. MCM will move on to the grand finals, where they will place the number 1 C team. That should probably, I think that should be normal time Monday, so that should be pretty hype to see who wins at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, that'll be a really exciting match. Be sure to tune into that next Monday, and I think I'll probably be casting that with Zag. So yeah, we'll see you then. But Jarrett, any shoutouts for you as we wrap things up tonight? Excuse me.
Shout out to everyone watching. Um, and if you want to, catch more TF2 action in between the Highlander, I think grand finals have been scheduled for sixes on Thursday. So if you don't want to wait all the way a full week to Monday, I think Thursday is the day it's landed on. So it's going to be definitely hyped to see who comes up on top there. But that's pretty much going to be it for me.
Well, yeah, definitely go check out. I think it's probably going to be you, Jarrett, and Space Ghost Coffee casting that one. So that is certainly one to check out. Again, Thursday at 11 EST for that matchup, and then following Monday for some Highlander action once again. But this has been the Season 9 lower bracket finals. MCM will come away with a 2-0 win over Froggyland, who goes home with the third place. My name's Godfather. I was joined by Jared on the mic. Dolphin was on the camera for us tonight. Have a great night.